Oh, then, considering that you're moving so slow, yes. You've been done it. You've been gone live. Dum dum dum. Which is good because I am actually. Well, I'm actually even somewhat on time for once. You believe it. Man, what a week of surprises that was. Surprises I was not even fucking aware of. But apparently. Never say never, I suppose. Now, I need some nice and relaxing gameplay because I'm otherwise probably going to get insane. And I prefer to be less insane, more working. And if you remember, last time we kinda dealt with restoring my honor to a reasonable degree by murdering a group of merchants. Mercenaries. That appears more likely. I'd not claim but poor little merchants for no bloody good reason. I don't know how to do that usually, but never say never, I suppose. Let's instead focus a bit on going through the last area now. Secondly, in the Long Watch Falls, there is still one thing left, a little creature, a little dragon, and I will not try this again with this team. This is, I'm sure it is technically possible, but that would take too much of my time, energy, and generally my interests, I suppose. And so, instead of frustratingly running my head into a situation where I'm at a disadvantage, I can come back and do it in the old-fashioned way. Come back with a few more levels under my belt, better equipment, and lots of other nonsense that is going to make my life a lot easier. On the other side of the argument, though, Rogan's better it is. I am very much looking forward to finding myself surrounded by traps and getting murdered, as is what I would expect of any Dwarven ruin that is worth its salt. Lots of traps, lots of dead dwarves. Because my idea of a lost Dwarven fortress actually comes from Jurgen's Tower of Baldur's Gate fame. And yes, I assume traps. Lots of traps. Horrible death traps and idiotic riddles and other stuff that is gonna drive you somewhat insane. Because yeah, dwarves apparently are idiots when it comes to stuff like that. Just a little bit though, you know. Okay, little dears, you run away. Also, this bloody flag. That's not fucking... What the fuck? Wait. What is this then? I was expecting many things when I came into this map. I was not expecting to get bloody attacked by a bunch of stacks. Deers and nonsense. Not even by the Elder Stack, mind you. Okay, bestiary progress, stack 100%. Apparently get XP for filling out my bestiary, that is nice and dandy. I'm just kind of confused though, why do they attack me? I don't want it to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not against hunting. I can see the appeal, but that was more like, you know. Then again, I don't think hunting is usually done by wearing plate armor and getting a stag to rub his thorns up your chest. Most gently. Apparently some device. Oh, right, yes. That is what we got from that dwarf? Well, by that little one to look for metal deposits. Of course, if the battery is anything to go by from an idea, there should be good metal around to make good steel. Not to refine into good steel, mind you. So all well and dandy, I suppose. But apparently she's looking for more diverse sources of. Or, I mean, why not, I suppose, when you want to reawaken this nice little thing. Those nice little
The stench. Even worse when dead.
Behind us!
Bring him. Baragon spoke of this one. Let her be.
Yes, peaceful solutions. No, I almost was at the point where I'm like cursing, but no. That's not curse. And they'd be like, yes, peace. Peace in conversation saves the day. I really wish humans would be as civilized as ogres when it comes to that, but we tend to not be. Now are we? Let's see then if we can find something in here that is fulfilling my quest without getting murdercated, or getting murdercated only once or twice. And then, while we are... a pile of bones. Continue on a little adventure. I shall regale you with a nice little tale of... well, technically speaking, most definitively German bureaucracy. Because if there's one thing Germans are very good at, it is doing an unnecessary amount of bureaucracy where you don't really need it. And if you actually even for a second believed... Actually, yes, you're paralyzed again, aren't you? I really like to paralyze him for some bloody reason. I mean, I get it to some degree, yes. That's still not a nice act. Not very nice, indeed. Oh, look at that. Not nearly as well hidden as Baldur's Gate hidden stuff. And it is part of a quest, which kind of means it is not hidden at all. Okay. I don't know how that works. The Frost Oaths could see, you know, one of us and decided to attack the rest of the group, which she, technically speaking, should not have seen yet. So vision kind of works in groups, I suppose. Instead of, you know, what would be reasonable. I can see you as in the character, not necessarily the group. Last game, you're making strange little things, but shall be so. Where will this lead me to? I'm interested. I don't remember this map. I mean, come on, I played through this game like once. If I could remember every bloody map and how it is built up after that, I'd be probably doing something else with my massively overpowered intellect and, you know, just making some money and
I got this.
apparently now going back to school, which is a fun fact. I always forget that one time I will maybe see the school's inside again is probably when I'm holding maybe election or something. A special lesson for poor little children to learn something. Then comes bureaucracy along and is like, no, I'm gonna teach you now a very important lesson about that. Also, to never trust the German state when it comes to that nonsense. I've seen some nonsense in my time, believe you me, especially when it comes to such nice things like taxation. There's some nonsense going on there, like you wouldn't believe. Oh boy. Because they have found something else to screw over. Oh boy, am I not surprised. Yeah, that's precisely what we wanted to see. Now the problem is, and this is something I kind of thought about while I was sitting here preparing things to start, I was like, how am I even supposed to explain this to a potential outsider person? And I came to the realization that that is
I see what you're getting at.
not at
There
all
we
easy.
go.
Great. Just be happy that that trap was nothing compared to what it could have been. Otherwise, I would be very much willing to get you murdered, my little blue one, I suppose. Yes, you shall be the blue one now. What was your name again? Maneha. Maneha, you have a bit of a grudge against the group, yes? Ah, see this. Interesting, interesting. So far, we have basically 2 quests under our belt, just with running around a bit and murdering a few of those nonsensical little creatures.
Take a look.
Nice.
I got this.
More along the lines of stuff I would sell than stuff I
There we
would
go.
keep. But yeah, it is actually a bit more complicated than I would like it to, because it kind of has to do with how the how things are organized here in a where basically we have from a purely well political and judicial, not necessarily judicial, but legislative ways. We have actually 3 different.
A crack deep enough to rival Margren's heated depths.
You're talking about her nether regions, aren't you? Oh, you have a bit of a tendency to be rather insulting towards your goddess, and as far as I'm aware, most goddesses do not appreciate it when some mortal starts talking about their nethers. Kinda understandable, if you ask me. No, right now, actually give me a blessing.
Feel good. Feel
But yeah, for some reason, someone has decided to part everything up into 3 nice little layers of politicking, which makes things also much more annoying to explain when you try to explain to somebody why something is actually happening now. Do not ask me why the fuck anybody thought this was a good idea. I mean, no, I can actually see where they were originally maybe at some point coming from. It's just that it's such a royal pain in the ass to do it like this. It's actually not even funny anymore. It screams inefficient, and it dares when you look at some things. There's actually been a bit of a debate about that, especially about the education system. As you see, the 3 layers we have, you have the communal layer, that's basically, you know, each and every commune itself governs itself. Because, okay, I can see why that would be useful. Then we have the basically state level, where now the single state, because technically speaking, Germany is made up of singular states. Some of them more on their own, at least in their minds, than others. I'm looking at you, Bavaria. You former kingdom, now part of the bigger. Although these Bavarians, they never kinda forgot the fact that they were, you know, a kingdom once, and they still kind of act like it. So you kind of have to get used to the fact that they kind of consider themselves self-managed, I suppose, is a good way of saying it. And of course, above that we have, you know, the usual parliament with its, well, I would say good policies, but that would be a lie, with its politicking that is interesting. But to give you an example why the system is so bloody fucking idiotically set up, let me start with the idea of, you know, education. Education is important. It should be. Now, how do you think we have set this then up? We have done it in the very most idiotic way imaginable, because we let each and every state handle that individually. That leads to divergence to no fucking degree. You have some education, some qualifications you can get through school that are just, generally speaking, worth more than others because of the higher difficulty. That's a pain in the ass, which means that somebody who, you know, has a reasonably high degree school-wise from Bavaria, for example, is usually worth more than a degree from, you know, the West, for some bloody reason. That totally does lead to some problems, but it gets even worse if you go to the part where training becomes involved. You know, training where you get, hopefully at least, a qualification in a certain job field afterwards. Now, that is made of 2 parts. A theoretical and a practical part. Now, the practical part you usually have to do, you know, working in a firm and get the practical experience, and the theoretical part is basically an extra school year, basically. Now, what have they done then? Right, they have done it even more idiotic, because now you have the nice problem that the school part, as in the part where you actually have to go into school and learn, is handled by one state, while the actually the testing for that, because that also has a practical application test where you have to practically use your skills that you learn, hopefully, in your firm, company, is handled by the country then. Don't ask me why. That is fucking idiotic. It is such an idiotic system, it is not even fun anymore. Now what does that mean for me then personally, and why am I sitting here and like, I'm amused as fuck by this? Well, I will now have to actually go to school. Because the years upon years that I have worked in my field are not actually getting counted towards anything, because technically speaking, I'm not employed. I am, well, if you want to speak about it in a technical term, I'm self-employed, as in I employ myself, I pay myself, but that is not a normal, or in any way, shape or form, well, technically employment. And so I will actually now have the pleasure or experience of having to spend 2 days a week going into a actual school and sitting down in an actual classroom with actual students that are like what? Usually you do your training, your first training around, yeah, after you finish with school, which means you're like, well, depends a bit on how things work out, but around 20. So, you know, between somewhere 18 and 22, I would say. Can you imagine if you then take somebody like me, who's basically decades older, and shove them in there? Yeah, that's the sort of idea they come up with. Please don't ask me why. Please don't ask me why. Actually, that was not even how it was planned. Actually, it was like, I'm going to be here for fucking a year. So I want to get some qualifications out of this, because why not? You know? And, well, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to start at the beginning there to make that a bit more understandable. But first, text adventure. I like text adventures, especially this game. Well, please, I'm down here, standing on a narrow outcropping, far below the edge of the chasm. The villager waves his arms frantically. The villager is well out of reach, and the uneven, slick surface of the chasm would prove difficult to climb by hand. What would be a skill I'll use? Probably Adair's is probably reasonably well, because he's buff. We're good on the Adair. Adair has a solid grasp of knots, and steps forward to secure the line with a sturdy knot. The trapped man presses himself against the chasm wall. Please hurry, ice is starting to crack. Looking down, Adair can see another, smaller ledge further up along the side of the chasm. That's close enough to jump to, but it may not be able to support much weight. You jump down onto the nearest ledge. Adair leaps into the chasm, lands hard. The snow-covered outcropping shifts dangerously underfoot, but holds. That's something. I would not do that. On the ledge, Adair has a moment to survey his surroundings. The trapped villager is almost directly below, his frightened face turned up to watch Adair's progress. Examine the area. Adair takes a moment to look around. Several sections of the wall below appear to be compromised of sheets of ice, like windows set onto the side of a chasm. The thin ice is poked through with air bubbles. Moving too quickly across the surface could cause it to shatter. The rappel down. Adair takes firm hold of the rope, gives it a few tugs to ensure it's still holding fast, and leaps away from the ledge. Adair's making good distance, only to end up swinging boots first towards what appears to be a sheet of ice along the chasm wall. His feet crash through, and a cluster of icy shards come crashing down. The villager yelps in pain as he's buffeted by debris. Ooh, that sounds painful. As Adair struggles to free of the hole in the chasm wall, the wind begins to pick up. Breathing gusts suck fiercely at Adair's clothing, holding past. Press on. Unfazed by freezing winds, Adair continues the descent. Oh, I mean, he has the constitution. He should be able to do this. At last, Adair comes to within arm's reach of the trapped villager. The chance extends a hand towards him. Adair grabs hold of the man and hoists him up. The villager wraps his arms tightly around the rescuer. Sections of the outcropping begin to crumble away into the darkness below. Passenger in tow, Adair begins the ascent. Every upward movement, the man on Adair's back cries out in pain. Adair feels his grasp loosening. Use one hand to grip hold of him. Adair loops some rope around one boot and then grabs hold of the man's arm with one hand. Even climbing one-handed up the chasm, Adair makes steady progress. That would be one royal hell of an exercise, wouldn't it be? Doing that on a fucking rope with the weight of 2 people on it. At last, Adair reaches the top. climb back over this side to safety. There must be buff as fuck. Wouldn't you agree? Jesus Christ. Yeah, thank you. I've been down there for so long. I thought I was done for. Yeah, no problem, man. Going back to town. Watch your step out here. I sure. I'm not planning to die here.
Yes.
Even though, you know, some things. So, how do I explain the interest? Yes. Technically, that's something we had decided before, that we were gonna make use of that year to actually get some qualifications in our field, because technically we don't have any. The state does not require you to have qualifications to run your business, you know, as long as you don't want to run a specialized business. As for example, if I wanted to deal in medicine, for example, then I would need some special to fulfill, but to be very precise, some specialized requirements to do so. But if I just want to deal with more general goods, I can, as long as I have the money, or, you know, the backing of a bank that is willing to give me money, I can just do that. That's not a problem. Also means we never really went through the trouble of getting that qualification in our field. So now we started doing this, and then we basically got an offer, like, you have experience in your field, like years upon years. So just basically make a nice appearance once at the office, in this case state office, and get some materials, learn those materials, then do a bit of testing and be done and through with it. Well, simple enough, isn't it? You know, it's not something that is going to take much more than, you know, a few months of work. Still, the testing itself would be at the end of the year. And then came the point where then, you know, our little state in of itself has then decided to send us another nice little letter going like, wait, no, we as part of the education system do want you to now spend a fucking year going to school like an idiot. Which leads to a bit of a problem, where then we had to exchange letters between, you know, on one side the country itself going like, no, we are totally okay with you just doing your testing, and the other side, in this case the state we're in, going like, no, they need to actually go a fucking year through school. And well, as you can see, in this case my little state has won this argument, and as such I now had the nice pleasure of going to school today. Which is also the reason why I wasn't on yesterday, because I actually had to get some equipment for that. Surprisingly, a high amount of books and other stuff was required to go to school. I had completely forgotten about it, because I haven't been to any school in like decades, to put it mildly. What an interesting situation that was today. Yes, let's put it that interesting. Yes. Let us not go into much more detail. And now that means that for the next year, instead of, you know, doing my normal rhythm, now I actually have the fucking pleasure of once a week having to go to school. I'm feeling already younger. Just not really. Just not really. Hello there. Oh, good to see you more. Keep on the road. Can relax for the time being. Each note here will let me know if any ogres come up on us. It's not a problem. I'm on peaceful terms with the ogres. Getting down the mountain zone, but still got some supplies if you need anything. Who are you? Name is Terragar. Come up to Starboard sometimes to trade. Still after the raid. Never been much of one for towns. Which way to the battery then? Road north, then west across the bridge. Do you know a man by the name of Gilvino? He has a cabin a little ways north of here. You'll want to follow the road always. Okay. Anything about bandits? Sure do. Most of the currents have to take one of the road down the pass. People bandits set up shop just north of here before the bend. Cool. That's actually useful and nice person, isn't he? He's just sitting like, I have all the info. I'm gonna give it to you for free, and I didn't want to ask for anything. If everybody would be so nice. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Now, since I have now, it also technically means that we are in a doubly interesting situation, because we are, of course, not starting at the very, very beginning, where we are supposed to start if we actually were to do this normally. Technically speaking, the qualification we're looking for is, if you do it the normal way, a 2-year training period you have to go through. We're doing it in 1 year already because, well, yeah, they cannot reasonably put us, back. But yeah, if you put somebody new into a group of people that are already established for like a year and you give them so much special stuff, then usually that's not making your, well, fitting in that much easier. The good thing is we're both old enough to deal with that, and I find it more amusing than anything else, but I'm actually at the point where I cannot just go to my next seat neighbor and go like, hey, you see that one in front of us? Pretty hot, eh? Because if I were to do that, I have no guarantee that that woman in front of me is actually not, is actually fucking of age already. Not even an adult, potentially. What the fucking nonsense. Sometimes, just sometimes, the way our system works, it makes you feel like
Look over there.
somebody has dropped a giant stone on their head multiple times when they were young, a child, and then, since they were not happy, they took them and threw them off very high tables a few times just to make sure that the brain damage actually lasts, and continues
No,
from there.
really.
Uh-huh. Jesus Christ, are you sounding annoying, woman?
Come take a look.
I'm not gonna take a look. You are the one responsible for taking care of traps. You know, the last time when I had a play in a party where Rook was like, come here, it ended up with somebody stepping on a fucking trap mechanism and almost murdering the whole party. Actually, no, technically speaking, it did murder most of the party. Mostly because, well, I guess nobody really wanted to play anymore. Kinda saddening. But that particular role-playing game ended. Alas. But then, I'm amazed. Just amazed at how the system sometimes works. Just sometimes. That's not good. Traps over traps over traps, eh? Now then, since I now have that nice little projection spell? Yes, it is a projection, isn't it? As a bonus spell, basically, that I can just use every bloody bit at once for basically free. Yeah, I damn well will do so. Such a useful little thing, isn't it? Now then, I can already see why Mr. Galvino is probably not the most liked person in the world, if he has misshapen constructs running all over his place. I'm assuming he's doing some experimentation of the more animancy kind, which always is gonna make you most beloved. Going by sheer damage potential, the Barbarian and Monk are doing really well. If we go by survivability, however,
Yes.
well, either I'm not good at equipping them, which could be because I never really bothered to look into much
Indeed.
of what makes more or less sense.
Oh, you see that?
I'm just going by basically my ideas of what is. It isn't a good idea.
I'm here.
Not necessarily needs to be true. Don't you all love it when traps follow traps, and some of my people actually know petrified? Great. Sorry there, you will have a painful...
I'm here. Yep.
Can you not pass through there? Yes, the priesty boy is so bloody fucking sick and stuff that you cannot pass through the fucking door. Oh, for fuck's sake, you got that trap, didn't you? Are you actually doing that on fucking purpose? Because it seems like it. It's gonna take me forever to actually get everybody inside this room, let alone reasonably fight. Now then, you send your projection down there. And one of us down? Yes, one of us down. Ugh. don't even care at this point in time. That was a horrible opener. Point where even I'm like, where? You fucked this up. Royally, didn't ya? Wait a sec. Don't I have actually raised the dead somewhere? Revive the fallen. Yes, I have. Maybe not the most efficient spell in the world, and quite a waste considering who I just brought back with that, but alas, I'll take it. I want to summon some tentacles though. One hand, yes, tentacles are always a good choice. Then again, I don't see much in the way of, you know, buff, and that's, I could say the very, very unfitting thing of saying there's no female around, and I would then molest with that tentacle, or the more reasonable thing of saying there's no group of bunched up enemies that I could make then their life miserable. Not a bad thing, actually. And she's down again. Ah, well, at this point in time, I'm not even surprised. Considering the amount of damage I'm doing, I'm kind of thinking we should probably go for something a bit more murderous. What's that healing chain? Oh, right. You make use of that then. You cannot make use of that.
How may I help?
You kick that thing. Okay, so some of you have some actually nasty fucking spells. Going to assume it's you two, isn't it? Standing in the backline casting spells like a bitch. I'm not very happy with that. You do that, you give me some of that. Let's try to actually get some of those fucking constructs close quarters, so they may perhaps stop doing some of that nonsense. Because they actually have a very damaging spell. That Frost Hand is really nasty, I'd say. It has proven to be so.
Yes?
Also, I can see some electricity sparks flying around. That is not good. The peculiar buzzing in my teeth, apparently, when I get close. This is indeed not good. Your teeth should not buzz. Sounds somewhat unhealthy. Mind you. An impressive assortment of wine bottle lines these shelves. Most appear to be Valiant vintages. I don't know if that is good or bad, but good bottle of wine. That can be nice. What do we have here? Experimental note. I refuse to continue wasting my time with these stitchwork grotesqueries. Perhaps the feeble spark of life is later troubled in repairs. He's like, well, corpses come apart at the seams. Wow, you don't say. Actually, considering the fact that I just recently played a bit of Planescape and I'm quite used now to the idea of zombies walking around being used as workers, yeah, they quite literally come apart at the seams. That is not even a joke at this point. Reasonably stated. Gets even worse with age. Now,
copy that.
Go in there and close enough if you can help it. Oops. Oops, no. Can't do that apparently. I actually have to go through the bloody trap apparently. What a royal pain to do that.
I'm here.
I always love it when traps are positioned in a way where you
I'll get it
quite
over.
literally cannot avoid them.
Just like you asked.
Mostly because there's fucking combat around. Ah, oh well, oh well, oh well. All the complaining in the world is not going to change reality. Such an interesting little
Yes.
tidbit. But there's actually a very good reason of why complaining is such a useful little tool. And I say, even if it doesn't change anything, going purely by your very own stress levels, it does help if you can complain about something. You'd be surprised. Nice little save game in case some horribleness is actually right on the other side.
Attack!
This looks like you want to explode. Aha, why do they have a fire ball? To be fair though, they don't really do much in the way of damage now, do they? You could quite rightfully say I'm a lot tougher than that. Let us save again, just in case some horribleness is in that burning flesh construct.
That's
Yes, Theodore, my little friend, do your magics. Well, I guess that would be a lie. It's not really magic because you are, of course, a priesty boy. Wouldn't it still technically speaking be magic, though? I mean, even if you call it faith, it would still be magic. Oh, wouldn't it be? Huh. I'm confused now. Well, I guess technically in D&D they count it miracles, don't they? They differentiate between what is actually just arcane magic and what is a miracle born of faith. Honestly though, how was that one saying about how technology, if it reaches a certain point of complexity, is indistinguishable from magic? If that is the case, then wouldn't, in a world where miracles is around, a complex miracle be, you know, indistinguishable from magic? And by that definition, it would still be applicable to tell it, you know, like it is. It'd be like, it's magic. You're gonna piss off the priest. Oh, well, the cleric, I guess. You wanna use the right terminus. But still. We found ourselves a trap. Oh, very nice. That is also the spell that is very dangerous. You kinda wanna stop it doing that. That spell hurts, endurance-wise. I do kinda like the system they've applied here with the endurance and health system. It's a bit like the in pen and paper when you deal with the idea of wounds and critical wounds later on and critical damage. I like it on one hand. It does take some getting used to though, when you think about it.
Uh-huh. There we go. Yes.
And we don't really have any lasting critical effects in this case. You can't, for example, get continuously crippled. Which is something that I always find quite fun. No, 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 no. Oh, would dare write me a message. Honestly, for once, I actually have to look it up. I do please excuse that. My colleague making a fun little joke. Technically speaking, since I'm now in training and I'm now employed at my own business, quite literally employed by my own business. My colleague is now, my business partner is now technically also my trainer. He's like, well, hope you're ready for this.
And if I find something good, you can have half.
Jesus Christ. We have a lot of fun with this. You wouldn't believe how much fun we have with this. Honestly, he's still a bit more to drink than me. And even I was like, well, yeah, we should totally open a fucking beer over that. Because that is... it's gonna keep you... what's gonna keep you going, believe you me. Good old-fashioned bit of fun. With such nonsense. Again, this area looks kinda, deep. It looks like it goes down quite a bit more. Also, there are quite a few hidden walls. This is the second hidden area I can see but not reach. I'm not too happy with that. But I kind of feel the need to rest. But my people are getting wounded.
I see what you're getting at. Just like you asked.
I like this. I see what you're getting at. Yes, I gave you in clear order, indicating that I want you to open the door. Ha! I won your life, friend. Lights from within the chest of the Settlers machine. From time to time, a burst of sparks. Excuse-moi. Very much so. 500 copper. You'll have the new set of nostrils to reef out of. What are you going to do? Kick me? For starters. I swear I had my knife. I've always been very good with knives. Where are my hands? I hate to point it out, but you're kinda a headless construct. A broken construct, even by its own definition. Somebody's doing some rather horrible experimentation here, and as usual, they're using people cells. Seems to be quite the easy to come by commodity these days. Do you wonder why this whole animancy thing has such a bad reputation amongst the common people? Yeah, do you try to explain to them why that soul is in a fucking broken construct? That make it sound good so that the people do not take their little, torches and stuff to your house. Because that is precisely what they will do. Rightfully so, even. I would not even be able to stop them. This is not going to work well. I'm assuming there's gonna be more than one. Yes, there's gonna be more than one. Why am I not surprised? Oh, right. Because I've played games for a while and I'm not really surprised at any of this. Could you just... I was like, okay, you did not murder her, good. Well, still not gonna go well. Easy enough. Can you do your barbaric kill though? You can. That is a good start. Now, technically speaking, this is a lot more of a situation where tentacles could potentially be useful. That unstable construct is not good. Where's my last tentacle? There's my last tentacle. I do love this tentacle spell. If it would last a bit longer, I would quite literally never ever use anything else. Quite literally. And one of them exploded. Yes, one of them managed to explode. No? Who screamed no? Was there a good reason for that? I mean, I think things are somewhat under control. You're not dead, are you? You're just unconscious. I'm dead. Do I have to reload? I'd rather avoid that, honestly. See, she's not even dead. Actually, there's no reason to scream, no. We do, however, have to take a rest. I can tell you that much, because our health pool is going down. Somewhat horribly. Vessel flesh. That's a Pantene ingredient. I always wondered how people come up with that. Let's say that you find on a construction like this, you find a bit of flesh, okay? Try to roleplay it, yes? You're in a dungeon, you find some constructs, you start poking at the dead body that you just fight down. You press something, it's wobbly, to put it like this, and you're kind of like, I can probably take this. So you put it in your inventory, and then you're like, yes, let me mark this as ingredient. Because I'm gonna cook now with that, or make a potion with that. How does your thought process justify that? I don't know. I definitely would not come up with that. I can tell you that much. Not by a very bloody, nonsensical idea you can have. Jesus Christ, no. This looks like I could do some horrible bad things. Subject, Bale Seer. So done himself with this one. Common robber with some natural talent for cipher abilities. Gone to his head. The Basil believes he is the next Antonino. So in any case, the world would be well rid of him. Yes, he has promising results. His mind is almost perfectly intact. It might even have been able to determine whether there is merit in his delusions about his soul lineage. No mistake of leaving the man's pistol on my work table. His essence is bound to the weapon rather than the body, and I took the build for him. Even bodiless, this fool seeks to trouble me. I've sealed him within one of the tanks. I will have to proof the machines against their free-roaming experiments. I think of a solution. You're doing horrible experiments and it's kinda backfiring. Wow. I am rest. They're all gonna explode on so. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything about that. You're actually running after me, aren't you? Explode for all you like, but don't explode where I am. The monk goes down for a second or so, that's not really a problem I am too worried about.
I'm here.
Those constructs make some really interesting sounds, don't they? Really, really interesting sounds.
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I was serious. Do you see that blood? Yeah, that's your fault. That is your bloody fucking fault that I just lost all of that blood on the ground. I hope you're happy, because now you will have to spy for me. And if you run into something, I might actually be willing to just let you sit there. You know, get medicated. Don't even get me started. You deserve that. Fucking rook that does not do its job? Yeah. Through you, most definitively. I can see an iron construct. Actually, how much more in the way of rooms do we have? And the laboratory. Do I want to play around with the stuff in the laboratory, though? On one hand, yes. On the other hand, I'm well aware that that is probably not a good idea. But you know. They do say that a lot of science is trial and error, and so trial and error it shall be. That doesn't sound good. Also that...
I'm here.
I'm free, Galvino. I will eat your heart, old man. You might not have an easy time of that, though. Mostly because I'm here. It was an impressive amount of damage you did there. Give me that much. You should, however, be well aware, my friend, that we're a large group, and now you're gonna experience something very nasty. Tell me what it feels like to be on the other side of the argument. Usually where I am,
I'm here.
outnumbered. Spirit residue. And the Feldstroke. Ah, okay, so that's how I get his
I
pistol.
shall.
You're right, you can mention that his soul was more attached to his pistol than to the body he made. Was this then the body he made for him? No, I can't just get back here. I have yet no idea how I actually supposed to get back there, but well, I'm gonna find that out one way or another. Mostly the most unpleasant way, I would imagine. Also reminds me, I kinda need to look that up tomorrow. Because the way things are going, numerically wise, we are running smack dab into the next lockdown if this continues. Which I think is not going to happen for one reason and one reason alone. It is actually, you know, time for voting. And politicians hate the idea of doing something that the public will hate, like lockdowns, when they actually have a year where they want to be voted. I can see they plastered the whole city full of the nonsensical, like, one of the parties, they have a nice little, you know, black and white picture of a guy sitting in, you know, in a shirt, looking all like, you know, the scruff reporter type of the 60s, sitting over his desk with the sign of there's much to do, and I'm sitting there like, bitch, please, your party hasn't done shit in like 20 fucking years. At least nothing you can be proud of, and still you want me to vote for you. Are you fucking serious? It's kind of like also there is actually a bit of debate how much the one of the actual communist parties shall be allowed to be voted, to be allowed to be this vote. I don't know why we even have a debate about that. Since when have we started going back in that direction where we let extremist parties actually come in? Fuck's sake, haven't we learned enough about what happens when you let extremist parties come into the politics? Yes, we fucking have. We of all people have bloody fucking hell learned that lesson, haven't we? No, apparently not. Apparently it's time to go back to the olden days and let the next socialist party come into power, because that worked out so well the last time we did that, didn't it? Totally didn't screw us over and everybody else in the whole country. Well, technically speaking, the whole world, as some may have claimed. Why though? If it weren't so bloody fucking sad sometimes, you know, I'd be continuously just laughing about all this nonsense. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? What else can you do? I know, some parts of the world are even worse when it comes to their political systems. I'm well aware of that. I am knowing too little about most of those systems to, you know, just go with the general statement of their shit, because I don't like that. I would have to actually read up on it before I make any such statements. Everything else would be very unfair, but still, you know.
Of course.
Just sometimes you kind of feel like you are in a very interesting parallel universe where things have turned into basically not the worst, mind you. This is definitely not the worst timeline you could be in. The worst. By a long shot. Because oh boy, could it be worse. Oh boy, could it be much worse. You'd be surprised. What I was I to say, just imagine, we, technically speaking, we weren't that far away from having the bloody Nazis actually, you know, win at some point. Let's just be very happy that that never come to pass, because otherwise, well, holy fucking shit, those people were not well planning ahead. Just take a look at their architectural projects that they try to imply, and you're gonna see very much why they were never gonna last 1,000 years. Put it mildly. Actually, we found the man. That has taken forever. Elderly man hunches over a cluttered desk in the back of the workshop. His flesh is pulled tightly around thin, fragile-looking bones, except around his neck, where it hangs in loose wattles. As you enter, a skull already chiseled into his lined face.
Back again? I told you.
He hesitates, swinging at you from behind, smudged in dusty spectacles.
Of course, a fresh fool to replace the last fools.
Well, yeah.
What brings you stomping through my workshop, eh?
It was actually a good question. I found something to murder, and I just continued going because I thought there was be more. Well, seems like you already know.
Straight to business, no nonsense. We appreciate that, don't we?
Anything for a breather from your endless yammering.
Right, gonna fancy for this one already.
Hear that, Timora? Another who would tolerate your barbs and insults. But you come seeking the White Forge, like they all do.
Somewhat, yes, that would be
Boys with
appreciated.
Smooth cheeks and wild dreams. Girls with bright ribbons tied next to their scabbards.
First things first, we don't have any boys with smooth cheeks and wild dreams. I mean, have you looked at Durance? That guy has a fucking amazing face just all around, and we have Adair, who is also not looking much more smooth-cheeked. As for the girls, we have that, well, I mean, I know they call them different, but basically half-orc. And myself, I mean, I don't think I have bright ribbon tied to my scabbard. That as far as I'm aware.
Old men and women, too, seeking a final blaze of glory before they're snuffed out for another turn at the wheel. Sound familiar?
Not really, no. I do know that stereotyping is a thing. And yes, I know of the bright-eyed beginning and ending adventurer. Yes, very much so. Horrible business. That's a lot of bitterness. Maybe I should ask you the same thing.
Save your breath.
He honks about a flecken from the back of his throat and spits into the corner. Okay, that is something I never really understood, but in this case even less, yeah? I know this whole idea of spitting around, but this is your workshop. Aren't you the one who has to clean that up later? At least get a fucking bucket or something.
I have this conversation with every pig-headed swashbuckler those Postenagos and stalwarts send here. Go see Galvino, they say. Surely he'll help you.
Must have slipped their minds what a busy and important fellow you are.
The silence that follows, the temperature of the room seems to drop. Gavino glares at her.
I should have let them stone you. Would have silenced your endless rattling forever.
Yeah, so many people should have been stoned, but no, instead they have been left walking. Many regrets were made. That's basically human history, in a nutshell.
Then you'd have naught but those frostbitten inbreds for company.
Hey, there you actually make it a very good point there. Yeah, that's probably how it would be.
The spiteful imbeciles destroyed my career, ruined years of work. But let us focus on the reason for your visit, yes? The villagers and their adventurers hammer and pry at the battery as if they were laying siege to some moldering lord's keep. But those stones were laid by some of the finest builders ever to have lived, disciples of Abidan in the truest sense.
Yeah, but everything that is built by mortal hands can be destroyed by mortal hands. That is the whole point, isn't it? I do remember one story that was from, it's actually stuck with me from a history class I once had about the Crusades. I don't remember which one. I think it was the Third Crusade or so. About one little keep that has been built and raised and built up again and raised and built up again and raised and built up again. Because it kind of changed between the coming Crusaders and Saladin's men over and over again. I was like, yeah, this is a nice example of just how humans are. We build it, then we are about to lose it, so we raise it because we don't want the other side to have it. The other side comes along, rebuilds it, because they do want to keep at that point too. And then when the Crusaders come back and retake the land, you're gonna, destroy it again because you don't want the Crusaders to have it. Fuck's sake, people. You know. It kind of stuck with me. I always found that fact to be very much
They
amusing.
will not fall by the means of any kith. And the door itself, it is infused with living essence.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It has been built, it can be destroyed. Simple as that. Doesn't really a question. The only question that is posing itself is what you need to do it. The dwarfs themselves must have had a way of getting in.
Perfetto! This is the crux of the matter.
Buffetto indeed. Yes, a door that cannot be opened is not a door at all, is it?
Bargrunen of Durgan's battery perished within their own
Even I can see that.
victims of a violent disagreement among their own commandants.
Fascinating, kinda happens.
Surely in the village you have heard stories, no? Disappearing caravans, tracks in the snow, screams from the high towers.
Not
Work
really.
spirits
Don't
still
remember
trapped
having
in the
any.
battery, and a testament to those impenetrable walls.
Hmm.
But the door of the keep, the one the Bargrunen filled with essence, it was made to listen, to recognize its masters.
Go on.
Traditional Aptapo cultures revolved around language. Words revealed who they were and where they were from.
Fascinating. You're telling me that language is important.
That is why
You're a
need
smarty
cat-
boy, aren't you? Because that is basically what he just said. It might sound fancy, but when you take something like that sounds very nice and in theory, and you break it down, it's like, oh, that is such a basic bitch statement. Ah,
That's the simple explanation.
yes,
A
it is.
Kantek is a statement of purpose, a declaration of identity. Each is unique to its stronghold.
Fascinating. Oh, really a door with a key of words, and any liar can walk his way through. Nothing built of words that won't break, and the slightest stress is applied. Indeed, because action speaks louder than words. Words themselves are kinda weak. They are quite literally just mirrors and smoke.
Thus, to enter a fortress like Durgan's battery, you would stand at the gate and recite its Kantek.
That sounds like a horrible security system. If we just look back a little bit in history, know that people are very, very good at, for example, stuff like torture. If the key to your fortress is a line of text, basically, that can be tortured out of people. Some people actually became real masters. There is actually books written by people who made it their bloody profession to get information out of people. And not to put a too fine point on it, but they apparently, well, according to their own statements and some accounts from, well, not so much the victims, because most of the victims died, obviously. So they're actually apparently really, really good at that. Getting the actual truth out of people, not just get them to the point where they were willing to say everything just to make it stop. Because that is pretty easy. Yeah. You just need to inflict pain, and people will be like, okay, I will do whatever you want as long as pain stops. That is easy. What you want to do is inflict just enough pain and give them just enough motivation to speak the absolute truth that you want to hear. Some people are probably very good at that, you know? Some. Very well, where would I learn this
To learn the
Kantek?
Kantek, you must speak with one of the dwarves of Durgan's battery. A shame they are all dead, no?
Wow, you're a nice one, aren't you?
But no doubt their souls live on in one or two of the villagers of Stalwart. Like fine wine poured into a cheap pot. But to identify them, that is the first problem. You would need the skills of an animancer.
You're an animancer.
Yeah, Galvino, why don't you go back to Stalwart? Oh, there's a sight I'd rust my joints to see.
Enough!
He snatches an inkpot from the desk and hurls it at the golem. It flies wide, spattering the wall with ink. Motionless, the one watches him with a black glass eyes.
I shall speak no more of that damned village.
What you do? The golem swivels head sharply toward you, a mask of a face. The glass eyes behind it betray no emotion, but it seems as if she is watching you carefully.
A watcher? Diverus?
Diverus?
If
What?
this is true,
Exactly, was like
could find a
Diverus?
soul
Are you
descended from Durgan's battery,
asking me
no
for
question.
one-on-one?
But the greater difficulty remains. You would have to learn the Kantek from the dormant soul, and to do that, you would have to awaken it.
That would be a permanent state, wouldn't it?
Oh, Yes.
Wow. I was saying I'm gonna have to screw somebody over
Whoever you
royally.
awaken will live with the memories and the personality of a past life. Maybe peacefully, maybe not.
See my statement beforehand, but see, this is why Animancers are so bloody beloved all above the Direwood. They have some interesting ideas,
That
to put
is
it
why you
mildly.
must pay attention to the soul you would awaken, no?
Yeah, because if I awaken some bloody mass murderer, that would be a bit of a problem.
It is a monumental thing to impose on another, but these are the very people who wish to rediscover the White Forge, Verus.
Yes, but if I tell them I'm going to reawaken basically a past life in them, most are probably going to be like, you know what? Maybe I want to move away from here and go into the big city and try my luck there. So the kind is all I need.
Say, none have yet opened Durgan's battery, but the ones that came before you, I think they got close. You may wish to find them and see what they discovered.
Where would they be?
I have not seen them since they first came to see me several weeks ago. But word has reached my
Ah,
ears
that
that they
shows,
crossed
yeah,
the
we already had
Mediterranean.
the pleasure of meeting what's left of them. Awaken someone, how would I do that?
Awakening is merely the jolting of a dormant soul into consciousness. When such things happen normally, it is because something has reminded the subject of a past life, often violently so.
Let's just be happy that that is not actually a thing that's happening in reality.
Thus, to awaken one of the former dwarves of Durgan's battery, you will need to address that soul, and preferably by name. But show
Great.
some care. When you examine these souls, whatever it is you watchers do, you may see images, memories. These are moments of special import. What you see will tell you much about the person, and awaken them from a traumatic memory, and who knows, maybe they awaken thirsty for
Yeah,
blood.
precisely that is my
Or maybe
problem.
you awaken someone else.
There's the consequence of awakening as well as any. Yet perhaps there's a benefit to the process as well.
Here, this has been tuned to the Eon of Durgan's battery. Use it near the villagers, and it should tell you if one has a soul old enough to have come from the battery.
I see very much.
You
Thank you,
have much
thank you,
work
thank you.
ahead of you, as do I.
I'm going with her.
You? Go to Stalwart? Is this your macabre sense of humor, or has something gone to rust in that beautiful head I crafted?
No one will bother me while I'm with her. Besides, I can help her find people in Stalwart.
You haven't been to Stalwart in 13 years. And this watcher sees souls. What help could you be? Besides, I have need of you here. You owe whatever remains of your wicked life to me.
What's the story between you two?
This charming specimen is a convicted murderer. The Devil of Carrick, she's called.
Impressive title. You've done something in your
Mighty
life.
fine of you to start with my good qualities, and you wonder why we don't get more visitors.
Killed over a dozen people before they finally caught up to her in Stalwart. Perfect company for lonely camps and mountain passes, no?
Yes, that really sounds like good company. I mean, for the adventurer business, yes, because killing is a large part of that, but not so much having to rest.
Hey, I know how to start a campfire.
Yeah, and then you're probably going to burn us with that, don't you?
The only reason she's not a frozen corpse is because I convinced the old mayor to let me try an experiment.
Why is she called the Devil of
She
Carrick?
committed her first crime in the village of Carrick. Burned their family alive in their home.
Just as we were talking about campfires, huh?
The same thing in half a dozen other villages, but the name stuck.
Are you afraid she'll murder
She
you?
may be mad, but she's no fool. She wouldn't survive long on her own. If the villagers didn't send a hunting party after her, the Eremans would claim her. Her joints and mechanisms require maintenance, and she cannot perform all of it
I see, I
herself.
see. Basically a bit of a hostage situation you have there, eh?
See, he's reminding me, in case I get any bright ideas.
So, where did you build her?
Why build a fortress, or a village, or anything? To make something that keeps, that...
Well, let me give you a few answers there. Why build a fortress? Usually to protect strategically important points. Or to, you know, have a nice store for stuff like your food supplies, weapon supplies, anything. Why build a village now? You usually don't build a village, but a village grows. You know, starts with, for example, one person building a nice little hut and a few fields around, and the next person is like, well, this land is rather fertile, I do it too, and before you know it, you have a few huts together and you can call it a village, if you so desire. Anything else? Multitude of reasons. To summarize it in one simple point is not
It was the
right.
early days of the legacy. My peers in the colleges of Animancy were filling the Hollowborn with the souls of animals.
Yes, and we have seen how well that works out. Doesn't it?
Thought there was a better
Perfectly
way.
sane.
One with a Plum Academy job back in Salona. Don't forget that part.
You put part of the soul into a metal body.
Into a work of art. Look at this. Craftsmanship worthy of a jeweler. Fully articulated joints, capable of grasping a pen and writing her own name.
And of crushing your throat.
Show me another smith anywhere in the Deerwood who is capable of such delicacy and precision. She is a masterpiece.
And I take it your experiment didn't go over so well with the rest of the village.
Ah, here we go.
They were going to stone her anyway. Why not allow her to be put to some useful purpose?
Mostly because they're afraid she's gonna continue doing some nonsense? I don't know.
My life's ambition. To serve somebody's useful purpose.
Your life's ambition is over in the very moment they caught you because, well, you're a fucking convicted murderer, aren't you?
I approached Mayor Sinahiod and begged. He saw the potential and allowed me the privilege of attempting my little experiment. Then, I accomplished what few animancers have even dreamed of. No academic support, no patron. Just me in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, now you got 'em all wound up.
I transferred a fully intact soul from a living subject to a fabricated body. She retained her personalities, her memories, all of it.
Yes, that's impressive indeed, I'll give you that
Yet
much.
the villagers saw only a stolen corpse. She's a fine specimen, her personality notwithstanding.
Good point. The golem says nothing, but her essence smolders. Resentment rises from her in shimmering waves. Shrivel said to look at you. Well, I do like Trevor.
Quay? No,
Wait.
no, you don't know what you ask. This woman, the Devil of Karek, she was
Yeah, we
a
just talked about
notorious
this, you know.
murderer, burned people alive all over the region.
To be very fair, if she tried that with me, I'm just going to disable her joints. And let her spend the rest of eternity, for as long as her soul can last, in some very, very dark little crack. Seeing herself getting rusted over.
Besides, she works for me. After all, I am the one who preserved her.
Perception. Let me parade her around town. It'll infuriate those villagers. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Wink,
So
wink.
you get use of the Devil's services, and I get the satisfaction of knowing those stiffnecks are sweating through their small
Basically,
clothes,
yes.
eh?
He shines, but a smug grin has already worked its way across his face. Some people are so bloody fucking... I mean, I guess, yeah. Some personal satisfaction, that is something very nice, but...
It's a deal.
Fine price for a blacksmith striker. Suppose I should be flattered.
And there you have it, a bargain.
my main problem is now that I can't just dismiss myself, obviously. The way I see it, Zahua has no quest or anything around. He's just...
Very well.
Look at this, so I'm gonna take her.
A moment. You are going back to Stalwart, yes? Perhaps you could do me a favor.
Sure.
There is a man in the village named Grinde, the head fisherman. The rest of Stalwart kisses his feet because he fills their stinking blades with speckleback. But I know he's not as virtuous as he seems.
Seems like a history of
That
him.
self-righteous meddler engineered my eviction from the village. He turned them all against me. Now
Okay.
I want him to feel the scorn of those mush-brained imbeciles.
And what exactly do you want me to do?
Humiliate him, of course. Show his neighbors what he truly is, and let him live with the disgrace.
Oh.
He's always been a Ripple sponge addict. Just got good at hiding it once his sainted sister died and left him in charge of the fishery.
Oh.
But he keeps a stash in the fishery, sneaks in at night when the others have gone home, and emerges sluggish and red-eyed a few hours later.
How do you even know that?
I want you to expose him. Go to the fishery after dark when it's empty. Find his Ripple sponge and show it to Renengild.
I see.
Do not answer me now. But when you return to that festering eyesore and smell the stink of fish that hangs in the air, consider what I've said. Besides, you appreciate a good joke, don't you? Verus, this will be a great one. But be sure to approach the fishery by night, when it's empty. They will give you no end of trouble if they see you stealing during the day.
Well, surprisingly enough, yeah.
As must the gods themselves.
Okay, nothing about that.
You're the Watchers. You must find a sole descendant of one of the
Yes,
dwarves of
yes,
Durgan's
said that.
battery. When you find such a one, remind the sleeping soul of its old name, as would I. But they seem to know more about the battery than me. Their hands were smooth and marked with ink, not scars.
Usual indeed. What is it we're looking
Well,
for?
himself could not have said, and I haven't the time to concern myself with the business of strangers.
To
Other
construct
projects, they are none of your concern.
Perception 14. Other projects, like the Devil of Kurok. Perception 15. You seem pretty eager to change the subject.
For years, I've been trying to create another like the Devil of Kerrick. Yet those post-enoch now, I can only create these broken, mindless things. The devil
where have you
is
found
the most
souls to
common
create?
Smugglers,
Ah, okay,
slavers,
okay,
fugitives. The kind of riffraff
But
I
where do you
can't
need more
present
bonus?
the Devil of Kerrick to the academies, can I? A mad woman and a murderer? No.
Is that a relevant
I need to
point?
bring a
I
success
thought
to
it
the
would
Republics.
be more important to think about the fact that you actually managed to bring a living, breathing soul with all of its stuff intact along. Would it even matter? I mean, she doesn't appear to be a mad woman as in screaming mad, so
Something else? Quite.
I just wanted to, get some information. Also, you apparently have not much. It's not considered stealing.
The devil has not scorched you yet, eh?
Belfetto. Yes, Belfetto indeed. I know, I don't think she will have much fun scorching me. You can try. Let's just say that's not gonna end well for her now, is it? Quests. What do my quests tell me? Return to Easter, find the other pieces of Geralt's helm. One part. The other parts are somewhere in the region. One of the parts is somewhere in the village. There are two parts. Only one part that remains. Search the fishery at night. I mean, it sounds like a pretty easy quest, all things considered. There's only been hopes that we visit the place during our travels. When I confess that she's seeking the Abbey to dispose of her own painful memory. The Abbey has a wall on which the faithful can cleanse themselves of the past. Wall, a well. That makes more sense. Well, I guess we should probably talk to her then if we want to know. Let's see then, what sort of class are you? A rook, a classical rook. Now that is something I can deal with. First, you need some athleticism. So I don't, fuck things over all the time and get tired all the time. Backstep. The ability uses damage done from stealth or invisibility. The rook may use melee or ranged weapons, but must be within 2 meters of the target. Interesting, interesting. using a spear, aren't you? But I mean, if you're a rogue, then backstab is probably the thing you need. Honestly, everything else would probably be a bit of a disappointment. Crippling strike, reckless assault. Escape allows structure break engagement to avoid the next attack. That could be useful. I can see myself having the problem with that already. Shadowing Beyond allows the character to turn invisible. Enemies cannot detect invisible characters, and attacks made from invisible will count as sneak attack. Attacking and casting spell using ability or using an item will enter the invisible state. And that's all kind of useful. Then we have Deep Wounds. Decent out of pain needs on snap, piercing, crush damage comes by the rook to also do raw damage. Oh, raw damage. Raw damage is good. The rook looks opportunities to undertaking combat and coming melee attacks that target deflection and miss or brace have a chance of allowing an instant full attack riposte. Only activate with melee weapons equipped. Finishing blow. Price that is strike. Increases damage to less endurance the target has. Narrative and an attack is turning some of the hits into critical hits. That's a lot of cool things you can do as a rook apparently in this game. I like it. I like it very much even. Vicious fighting. Davis maneuvers increasing the percentage of rook's hits that are covered with critical hits when using dirty fighting. Nice. Resistant distractions. Whenever the rook is contributing to flank affliction to target, the victim is also distracted. I think that you are a melee person, that's kind of cool. Slice, pierce, or crush damage. Basically, as long as you beat them with a melee. Also, he actually, from, I don't know what it is it Bronx? Or whatever metal he used, actually made her a skirt. Why would you make a golem a skirt? I mean, also, why would you give her breast? I mean, you're not having genitals now, do you? Why would you need a skirt? I'm confused. Probably not thinking about that. That's probably better. There's a person with one nearby target. Canceling engagement if any effect. Automatically when targeting an enemy, otherwise must hit versus an enemy's reflex. There seems to be a lot of potentially very, very nasty things you can do as a rook, apparently. Okay, but I kind of want to give you something. Shirt, bloody slaughter. And bloody slaughter seems very fitting for a rogue. Sometimes I do kind of feel that I'm choosing talents a bit more what my image of a class is than what would probably be the best potential way of doing it, but alas. Weakening and opening the target. Wait, inflicting extra damage or weakening the target. Persistent distraction was that is also distracted. Deep wound, adept evasion. Is somewhat of a defensive bonus. They want you to stay alive, if at all possible. Might actually be a nice replacement for the Grieving Mother, because the Grieving Mother is technically speaking a cipher, not a rogue. This is a classical rogue. As such, I would very much like. Interrupting blows. 2 would be something I would like to get my hands on. Smoke cloud. Okay, smoke cloud. Smoke to these adjacent enemies distracted for a short rotation. Death blows. Through the size of the target's battlefield position, making sneak attack more effective when the target is afflicted by 2 or more conditions that allow sneak attack. Let's give you actually some raw damage. And then let's take a look at your... First things first. Put all of the nonsense in my backpack. I definitely will have to sell some of this nonsense at some point. And let's take a nice little look. You have your body, which is armor. I'm assuming I can't unequip your... Devil of Korok's body cannot be unequipped. You don't say, game. Like, oh, I cannot unequip a body. Oh. Do I want you to use a spear? I mean, I haven't really given you anything that would allow you to use anything else. Interesting enough, it's one-handed, eh? Spears are special, I suppose. It would give you range, wouldn't it? I mean, I would kind of say that something like this would probably look better. Would look better, but then again, let me guess, I cannot. Yeah, I kind of figured I wouldn't be able to do that, but you know, one has to try, just for amusement's sake. Okay, but I can give you something like this. What is this giving you? Perception. Didn't I have stuff? I didn't wanted you to just equip that. Well, not that hard, is it? Or stealth or something? Yes, I have. Mooch of stealthiness. Suppress affliction. That's just suspended, yes. Really not the most useful offerings if you ask me, but alas. Max endurance bonus, how much? 15 max endurance, yeah, sure. The defense bonus is probably even better then. What is this to our range damage? Accuracy against beast. Range damage is not gonna help you. Minus 10 armor penalty, plus 1 dexterity. That's probably going to be better for you, isn't it? Do I have anything else, though? I don't think I actually have anything else. Can I actually give you a hood? Again, going like, kinda fitting, isn't it? Ich hoffe that. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really serve any purpose, but yeah, let's not do that. It kinda looks silly, doesn't it? I guess we're gonna find out just how tough that body is in particular. It is considered heavy armor. Now, how am I gonna get access to that, though? I wonder, I wonder. I haven't found any mechanism that would allow me to do so. Maybe there's another entrance from above? Maybe from somewhere behind the house or something. Maybe there. I don't know. I hope. Hopes and dreams. But yeah, I guess I should talk to the devil a bit. Get to know her and stuff. I should think I did this off screen, but I did kinda talk to the monk a bit, and it was as enlightening as you would assume. He was every second or so sentence like, I take drugs and I see stuff. Like, yeah, great. Great story, bro. You come back to me with that in a decade or so. I'm sure I'm gonna love then. And have you seen my scars yet? Yes, I have. Very
First,
interesting.
your neighbors hound you because you say the wrong prayers at supper time.
If it wasn't that, it'd be something else. Just their way of letting you know they care.
Then some cross-eyed lord gets to stringing up your neighbors.
A couple of them were ones that had been hounding me, so that worked out at least.
Uh-huh.
Now then. I need to move several people for
Effigies.
transferred.
Eyes that man love to talk.
Well then tell me why you killed
If
people.
it's sane and logical reasoning you're wanting, you're gonna be disappointed. Ain't no sense in any of it.
Mm-hmm. Well then, I had parts of yourself from others. I'd rather you tell me.
Mayhap you've heard of Coldmorn. Was a quiet, forgettable patch of the woods. Till a pack of rabid clodhoppers set it afire.
That was the start of the purges. Dear Woodens killing their own.
You're upset.
A farmer on the other side of the mountains woke up one day with his head all aflame and took it for the gibbering speech of his god. And so did a few thousand of his countrymen. So when he tired of Vorlus fields and marched west, a horde of armed Hicks followed.
You're talking about the White Wind into Saints War. Ha ha ha, I use my law skill to be very much.
Bunch of fool nonsense is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
But
that
others
could
have
be
called it the same.
potentially said about every war that has ever been fought for any sort of religious backing. Basically, one or another guy that he was like, you wage war now, according to that guy, that priest guy, that's totally not going to get fucking rich off of this.
If you know that much, then you've heard of Coldmorn. Ours was the village that let a few thousand of Widewind's troops pass through.
You were from Coldmorn? When I heard what happened out there after the war, I couldn't believe my ears.
Fine line between couldn't and wouldn't.
Dragwoodians, unforgettable sort. You must have known that, wouldn't it,
Maybe
Will?
not. But the Raid Sarens had us clean beat in numbers. Even bumpkins like us figured that. Just look at Mercy Vale.
Oh.
They fought back. And now there ain't one stone standing atop another in the whole village.
Yeah, but isn't it the same then for
Besides,
you?
we asked the Duke for help. Told him Widewind's troops was coming through the mountains. Seems he had better uses for his soldiers. So we let Widewind's soldiers pass. Left him for the Duke to wrangle on his own terms.
Your Coldmorn was purged in
It
retaliation.
was after the Godhammer made a fine grid out of Widewind, when Deerwoodens were running on rage and looking for something to burn. They came at dark. Hundreds of folk. Every one of them mourning someone lost in the war.
Yeah, wars are a bitch when it comes
Must
to
have
that.
decided it was our duty to escort their dead back to the wheel.
Well, somebody had to,
They
apparently.
didn't light their torches till they had us surrounded. Time we saw 'em, there was a ring of fire closing around us. I woke. Ran to the window. Whole village were a maze of flames. Couldn't see nothing for the smoke. And the screams. Most ran for the streets. Got caught by the mob. Others hid, let their houses burn down around them.
So, what did you do to survive then?
Ran, fought, hid, burned. Same as my neighbors and family. Just luckier.
And what does that have to do with your crimes?
Hunting down the men and women what took part. Thought that much was clear.
You couldn't hope to get them all, you
Well,
know?
we just gotta do our best with what time the gods give us, don't we?
Nothing but an endless spiral of hate and counter-hate. That is going to work out well generations down the line when your children are murdering their children for some unknown curse of the past. Because humans are funny. You can be the nicest person to another, and they will forget that in bloody seconds. But insult them, even a bit. Oh boy, that's a grudge they're gonna carry not only to their graves, they're gonna ingrain said grudge into their children, and they will in their children, and they will in their children. History is full of that nonsense, honestly. When you look at it, sometimes it's just like, why were you fighting? Oh, right, yes, because your grandfather's brother on your mother's side has unceremoniously taken a dump on somebody else's land at some point because, you know, he couldn't hold it, he had tyranns or something. Horrible crime against humanity that was, sight and sound-wise. Why are we still 3 generations later fighting for that nonsense? Nobody knows. Well. So what exactly did you hope to
We
accomplish?
were a mob that destroyed our village, but it was just one man that burned my family's house. Kept hoping I'd get to him as I was working my way through the rest of those maggots. No matter now, I suppose.
So, you and Gavino had an unusual relationship.
Only kind to have with someone like him. Or me.
You resent him.
No other way to feel about the man who flayed my living soul.
So, how long?
Around about 13 years.
Hmm.
Too long, you ask me.
What he claimed he made you?
He'd spread butter on bread and claim he made something. Never been accused of modesty, that man.
But I mean, he's right, you know, if he spreads butter on bread, he made something. A butter bread. Painfully obvious, but yes.
He managed to stuff my soul into this heap of bronze.
That's Bronx
true
then.
enough.
You have a
That
Bronx
makes him a
skirt.
genius. Also makes him a son of a bitch.
Yeah, but that son of a bitch actually has enough decency to give you, I'm going by your voice, was at some point a female, a skirt. I mean, that's something. He's at least interested in some modest amount of decency. Did you ever consider murdering him?
Every day. Just kept putting it off. It's not like either of us was going anywhere.
So what exactly did you do for him?
Looked after his tools, cleaned the workshop, swung the sledgehammer. Oh, and snatched up travelers for his soul tinkering.
What exactly are you
All
talking
those
about?
other golems, where did you think they came from? But don't you worry. They were all bad folk.
Oh, thank you for
Just
telling me
so
anyway.
you know, you got a real professional working for you.
Yeah, whenever I want you to snatch somebody up so I can stuff their living soul into a golem, I know who to call. The Devil of Carrick's Services. Of course. I will come up with a nice slogan for that at some point.
Yeah, I've had enough of him too.
So why did you want to come?
Stalwart's great this time of year.
Yeah, sure.
Bareth spells in bloom for a good 5 days, and the mountain squall actually blows the fish stench away from town.
Wow, sounds lovely.
Better than staying at Galvino's anyway.
I've lived for secrets long enough to know when someone's hiding something. You don't say a love. I mean, that's kind of obvious, yes? I get the feeling you're not welcome
I
so
had a
much.
reputation. People in these little villages ain't the most open-minded.
But you might have someone here.
Not yet.
You answered me pretty quickly. Something you're not telling me.
But nothing you need to know.
If I didn't need to know, I wouldn't ask now, would I? Right, I'm supposed to believe that you came all the way to Starboard 13 years ago for the scenery.
Believe what you want. I killed a lot of folk, but none of them was in Stalwart.
Yeah, that means there's somebody there you want to kill and you just haven't found him yet. And when we are going to go into village, at some point you're going to be like, hey, that son of a bitch, here, take my knife into your bloody chest. Ah, fuck's sake, that's going to be a pain, isn't it? Put Jurgen's battery.
Just because I'm made of metal don't mean I got any special fondness for smiths and forges.
So, do you know anything?
No more than what Galvino already told you.
Any thoughts?
For fancy dwarven poetry? None of them ever struck me as especially literate. And that's on you. I lost my sense of smell 13 years ago.
Wouldn't that make you quite advantageous in this situation where the smells could be a problem? Any
Nothing specific.
special expeditions?
Everyone looks about the same when they got their fingers up their noses.
Yes,
Only the
previous.
last group, one before you, there was something different about them. Couldn't put my finger on it, but they was dangerous. Almost felt the hair on the back of my neck. Ain't felt that way about anyone else walking through Galvino's door, that's for sure. Murder, tracking, and the best materials for kindling. Those are more my area of expertise.
The best materials for kindling, you say. Let us talk about that. Seems something I would have a long and fun debate about. What was life like before the
Not
Saints War?
much to say about it. By my reckoning, that means it was pretty good.
Good point.
Ma was a trapper, taught me to set snares and dress game. Dad was a tinker. I never had his patience, but it were fun to watch him work. My brothers and sister, they was good folk too. Part of me's glad they ain't here to see me now.
You do look kinda a bit more Bronx-y these days, but
I shall.
not really. Something you could have done more, Trevor, I'd reckon. A bit of a difficult story, that one. I mean, you can't really justify murder.
No, really.
Not really. Yes, game. Absolutely. Nice that we agree on something. Which kind of leads to a problem, doesn't it? Also, can I actually dress this up a bit? I kind of would like you to, yes, go into the back row, because just to give you the technicalities here, you are the weakest members, physically wise, of my party. Why?
Aye?
Do you feel the
I'm
need
here.
to stand like an idiot? Man stands in the middle of the road. Without lowering the blade that rests on his shoulders, he takes 2 steps forward as if to speak for the group behind him. Sophie is a gift bearer. They always carry surprises. And we love surprises. Oh, you're gonna love my surprises. Do you now? Do we want to take a guess? An educated one. I give you a hint. It rises. It likes small holes, according to some, and it does a lot of damage in its short time. The answer, my friend, is tentacles. Ha ha ha. And by we he of course means himself and his sword, apparently. It'll be quick, try to stay still. Yeah, sure. When somebody offers to end your life with his sword, the first thing that comes to mind is standing still and letting him do that. Well, either that or running in there and murdering somebody. Now, you go over there, you go there, you help out here. You give me a blessing, and you, my friend, you know what time it is. It's once again the time of the day where tentacles... No, I didn't. You... Can I not use that on you? Oh, I can. Second was like, well, why is the game not letting me do this? Have I missed something? You do your little scream and lightning strike. Give me some astral projection. You might want to take a step back. Wow, will you look at its cunt? He actually broke engagement from up here, just to run down here, hit Jurel Endurance in the face, and then run back. Cuntish move, isn't it? For no bloody good reason. Just like, I don't like you now, I'm gonna punch you in the face. Okay. Yeah, you do you, man. You do you, indeed. Shadow Beyond. Turn invisible. You do that because I can do a nice little sneak attack from there, and I want to train myself to actually do that. I said, you know, getting some practice actually in. Is every one of my tentacles still busy? Yes, it is. Shadowing for Beyond. Did that murder him? I think it did. Now, where do I have my little projection? There's my little projection. Like this? No, like this. That was the blow? Yes, that was the blow. Then we have you. This shadowing in beyond from beyond is a very useful thing as far as I'm seeing it. I like it. Doesn't seem like it worked. Like I wanted it to. Kinda saddening. Okay, you go there, you go there. That little one here, I'm not yet too sure about her, but I do like that. She's doing a good job, damage-wise and stuff. I like where this is going. I will consider you a more permanent addition to my group. Not gonna go out of my way and be like, for sure, but just say I'm considering her. The road continues climbing for a short distance before turning sharply down into the path beyond. Okay. Maybe a bit of a good old round way. So now what we have to do is go back to Stalwart and find... Well, I guess the right soul. What is that? An empty container, okay. Oh, how fitting. Jurgen's Crossing, eh? I see that the people around here has the same amount of creativity when it comes to naming things that I usually like to apply. Also, I saw an enemy. And I'm not completely healthy. Metzler. Oh yeah, people continuously messing with me on this fine evening. Actually start with a chain lightning, why don't we? Haven't really done that in a while. And it sounds like such an annoying little spell, doesn't it? Come on. Spell power. Okay, let's try to actually get rid of that woman. Could you not? That priesty boy is not immortal, you know. That is most definitively not the best way of doing it. Putting it mildly. Yeah, kinda figured. I'm thinking we should do this a bit better. Yeah. I can already see that this is not going the way I wanted to. I need to do this better. This looks ugly as fuck, you could also say. Yeah, no, you load for a second. I definitely need to be a bit more fast and furious when it comes to my changeables. Tell you that much.
Hey.
And then do we have some nice spark of the souls and a powerful zeal that manifests near shocks enemies near them? Yes, please. Come on, she was hidden, wasn't she? How the fuck do you manage to hit that? It's not fair game. Can't just do something like that. I knew this would happen. That's why I prepared for it in this case. Why is a dice troll here? Where does it come from and why does it feel the fucking need to come out now? I have questions here. Very important questions. Now, as for you, is anybody? Oh, I think my tank's actually still somewhat good, so I don't really need that. Another pillar of holy fucking flames. Take that, you go up there, take the fucking cipher. I want to see some smashing in the face. If you can help it. And as for you... Yes, I was quite well aware that that fucking thing would stand up again. Better. Not perfect, and I still am kinda surprised where that ice troll came from, but... I mean, as long as you win in the end, you know? Where is empty? Oh, it smells strongly of fish. Nice. Frozen fish is probably one of the more usual rations around here, I'm going to assume. Oh, there it is, another ice troll. Ice trolls are fun, aren't they? Pain in the ass, but, well, alas. Let's see what you have to offer. Little ice troll. Here, use one of your little pillars. I know you love to use your little pillars. Yeah, not the nicest ground to stand on, I'll give you that much. Whip, 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 whip. Ho, 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 ho. Take a blade to the backside. Yeah, it hurts, doesn't it? Now you, and we are done. That was somewhat well. Still, I do kind of like it. It kind of gives me a lot more mobility if I can just pull her out, usually. I mean, it doesn't work all the time. And some enemies apparently just ignore the fact that she's not supposed to be visible. But alas, what can I say? As you grab the bow, it vibrates with a strange and familiar energy. Searching your pack, you find the silver arrow that you found lodged in an injured winterwolf. As you hold the bow and arrow together, the arrow suddenly snaps into place. You hear a crackling hum. The pale ribbon of light begins to form between the ends of the bow. When you pull the arrow back, you feel a very solid resistance. You have gained an item, Stormcaller. I have gained a bow. I think that is actually the one weak point of my party, is that I have no classical range damage. I have magic, I have miracles, but I don't have anyone using actually bow and arrow. I have people like my priesty boy who's using...
Yes?
Quinn, could you please? Was using arquebus. And he's not using miracles, but then again he is using miracles most of the time, so it's not really... I don't have any ranger or anything that would use it. I have technically with one of my companions, but I'm not using him, so... Honestly, I'm kind of going just off the usual systems that I'm familiar with, so... Since they kind of work, you know. Arrows by tracks leading back south along the path. Okay. Some horribleness, eh? Happening here. Not the most uncommon sight in the world. But the way it looks, we have dealt with the area surrounding Jurgen's battery somewhat completely for the moment. I mean, we can't enter. Mostly because we're missing that cadence thing we need. Why is the game like you can't go there? There's clearly something to pick up. Don't shoot those cannons. For spirits.
That caravan must have had a half-ton of steel. Coinmaster Zoltan's finally getting his way.
For now, the other commandants will have his head.
Only if they don't tear each other to pieces first. I heard Maroon and Exandru.
Shh. Last thing I want is to get on Maroon's bad side.
Fine, just say the words then. I'm getting hoarse.
And of course, that is the part we don't get. Such a royal pain in the ass. Can't you just tell me the phrase?
Definitely looks deserted.
Well, yeah, but at some point somebody went to the trouble of setting up cannons here. And personally, I don't think cannons are good for the usual. You know, if there's an army marching on you, one cannon is not going to make much of a difference. If they have siege equipment, however, it's probably useful. Otherwise, I would like to have a few units of bowmen. That's probably going to be more useful. I mean, kind of depends still. I mean, this world's arquebuses are a thing, so why not use those? Wasn't there something like... I don't know, maybe this world at some point actually is going towards an second shot era, but then again, not reasonable considering that there's magic around, isn't it? Magic ruins everything. Anyway. Now we went through this cave, and that cave is actually the only way really out down south. There's maybe because I can go to the Rusted Wood, I suppose. Which we shall do then. We shall go out, we shall go back, and we shall give quests and do quests. This one, in case you have been wondering. Quest is a quest, eh? Honestly, that's the sort of quest I'm not too comfortable with personally. It's not serving my purpose. I'm not getting an actual reward promised here. It's not a legally binding contract where it's like, I give you a amount of money for a service rendered. No, it's like, you could do this. Wink wink, heavy implication. You're gonna get the most unphysical sort of reward for it you can imagine, which is experience points. Which is, you know. You try telling the nice Mr. Policeman that you broke into that house and stole off the such just to get some experience points, and I'm sure he's gonna be more than willing to put you in the cell just the same.
Had that much right.
Surprisingly enough. Much love, the sister of the skull, of the slaked skull is that. Jum jum jum. New bounties. True Flame and Old Hermit Hunting Lodge. Give me more to the level of the True Flame. Make this fun, but what is a group of dragon cultists? Now it sounds bizarre. Outpost. Made camp near Long Watch Falls. They shouldn't be hard to spot. What's the Old Dunyard Hunting Lodge? Giant bunnies, they travel around hunting monsters. What's it even mess of wrecked property and the dead bodies? You've been charged with murder and general mischief in Defiance Bay, New Humor, and a dozen other towns. It never gets boring around here, I suppose. And then let's take a nice little look around the village for once.
I take it you've met Galvino.
Rowena settles beneath Reningil's skin. Finishes looking through her eyes upon time-faded memory. Standing in the inn. The room is stifling, but it's the body heat of so many furious villagers, not the neglected fire pit that surrounds, fed from the pores. Her husband waits by the door, not as far as he can get away from the assembly. He holds Ulrich, whose cheeks are bright as he watches the adults bicker with wide, fearful eyes. I had never realized how badly your neighbors stank, but something rank and repulsive rises from them as they pack together in this room.
How much did the old snake pay you, Sinahio?
Screamed at the head fisherman, jabbing a furious finger towards the back of the room. Sinahio, your erstwhile mayor, squirms in a corner, pinned by the accusing stares of the entire village. Oh, those eyes, they're cruel. Porcine eyes. They're watching Senode with the dumb gluttony of ox, staring at fodder. And more Senode himself, trying to wiggle free of his own lies.
Maestro Galvino and I came to an agreement. It was for the good of Stalwart. I thought...
You thought you'd let a killer walk among us?
Well, shit. Great your husband, he's moving to Ulrich, but when you catch his eye, he directs a silent supplication to you.
Let's go.
Someone's thrown a potato. Wasting food. You want to shout at them all what is nonsense and waste, but you know this is about to get worse. Stalwart will have blood, and Galvino and his horror had the sense to flee already. You turn again, and your husband is beckoning you with swift, chopping motions. What stops your breath is Ulrich. His little eyes are fixed on the churning mob, and you knew ever since you started hearing about those hideous purges he'd see something like this one day. But did it have to be so soon? That drove the devil woman to madness, and now his little eyes have gotten big. Big enough to swallow the whole scene. No seeing you as a part of it. Going to leave now. You around the jostle mark, so you push your way to the end of the room, where Senhor trembles in a puddle of his own piss. Great.
Enough.
Listen. Dumbly trusting as you turn, Senhor listens into an exile. No one contradicts you when you explain that he's going to march out his village alone and into whatever miserable hamlet will have him. And agree what you explain that their hands are too clean for the likes of him. A kernel of trust and dependence. Well, great. So that's how you became the major then, eh? He's looking at your husband, he's shaking his head.
My, but it's gotten warm in here.
What's on your mind?
Everybody around me is like, my. That's
Something else you need?
read his own. Fence post lying in a filthy flutter of frozen muds. Snow gizzes around your legs and trickles into your boots. A wind nips at you even through layers of furs. You hold your wood chisel in one numb hand and a mallet in the other. Leaning over the fence post, you get to work. Hour after hour, you hammer away. Feeling the tools grow heavy in your grip as your breath fogs your vision. Want to do better work than this? You can do better work than this. No one's building your houses in Stalwart. The last table you crafted was put into the fishery, and pike entrails now are traced divine. Dovetail joints you so lovingly carved. Now you meant to stockade, because that's what needed. Your chisel slips, skidding alongside your hand. You gasp, but you hold up your hand and see. Much to your relief, all 5 fingers wiggling back at you. You need to get out of this town. And it kind of sounds horrible. He's a, well, in his mind, I guess, a real artisan wanting to, you know, do all the nice little wood carvings and works. And then somebody takes his lovingly crafted and made to look nice, I guess, table and uses
What did you
it
say?
to murder
Nothing.
fish on it.
That's what I like about you.
Beg your pardon?
You don't talk much.
Ah, I don't know, he's a lovely guy, isn't he?
Hey there. Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, let me know if you need anything. I thought you were cured. You mean you always looked like
Yes,
that?
fine. Haha. I'm doing much better, actually, and take care.
I just wanted to be
Hey
me for
there.
once. Read your soul. Now pass peel away. The brisk air gives way to an acrid stench of smoke. Dark cloud building up from ruins of a burning house at the far edge of a rocky field. You are low on the ground, held in place, and above you, wind tucks embers back and forth like firebugs.
Not so brave now, are you?
Just your figure standing over you is a collection of rough smears of black, cast in silhouette by the fire. Dark shape swings toward your face, and the subsequent burst of agony jars you out of the memory.
What? Did I spill something on myself?
Oh, don't worry, I'm just reading your memory. And I'm seeing a lot of nice things you people are involved in. I mean, what do I expect from such a small and, I guess, incestuous village?
You look like you've been in the wilds. You see my wagon out there?
I did.
You've saved my hide. I can't thank you enough. But I hope you'll take this. Here, as promised. Thanks again. With a little luck, I'll trade these blizzards in for a sea breeze soon enough.
And as long as I get money out of that, I'm an easy to peace person. Handful of memories dart across your mind. For a moment you're overwhelmed, but one particular recollection tugs at your senses. You, Andre, or both, kneel on the stone floor, held between two men. Waiting in front of you wears the arm of a crucible knight, and you feel Andret's half-hearted contempt for him as if it were your own. He was just close enough for you to spit blood into his boots. Out in brine, spray of ocean water. Kind of its railing. At that moment you find your gaze pulled to the pitching surface of the dark sea. See there. An eye, broad as a shield, gazing back at you in turn. Fear and fascination sweeps through your mind, even as your senses recede and the memory fades. We have a new quest. Run across the eastern reach. People are being buried in graveyards and returning from the dead as vampires. Why do you feel the need to fucking rewrite everything to make it fucking vampires, okay? Examination by locals has revealed that animals had tampered with several gravesites prior to the burial. Local lords have released bounties for any capture of whoever is responsible, and the rapid spread of the events leads many to believe that a group, not a single individual, is behind experiments of that nature. I guess a paladin would usually be the best choice, but she's busy already. And so I shall send the Great Mother, who seems to be the rather obvious choice. The cipher should hopefully be able to deal with that.
Back to warm your hand.
Reach your soul. There's a part of the inn rather than an old fortress, so Helfrix eyes you admire rows of gleaming bottles recently dusted and polished. You look on with satisfaction at a pressure plate concealed in the stone floor.
Right.
Oh, I'm very much alright, don't you worry. I'm feeling just peachy, reading everybody's soul like this. That's quite the invasion of privacy, I'd say. Luckily, they can't prove shit in this point. You're fumbling hands at your belt and your own low laughter in your ears. Fumbling hands at your belt and your own low laughter in your ears. Your shoulder is jammed up against the cabinet and it rattles every time Brisbane leans down to kiss you. It's a sedate pleasure to the memory, but nothing in it has much to do with the battery. You know, that seems like somebody was about to have some fun. You know, some of the very much immediate I need it now kind of fun. That's happened sometimes. Strong desires, as they say. A very humane thing to do. Because I'll never forget that at the end of the day, the human is also just another animal. God bless them for that.
Something I can do for you?
We'll find that out, won't we? Trapped in darkness. The taximotor is that you've been plunged into a very old memory. Visitors to the torchlight, you find yourself standing in a gloomy tunnel that you instinctively recognize as part of Durgan's battery. Nice! A handful of figures in patchy clothes and hoods, dwarves like you, hunch over a minecart. They're loading it with cloth bundles, from which you see the occasional flash of metal, the edge of a blade, and a burnished glow of plate. The other dwarves scurry with a curious mixture of haste and caution. They stack the bundles in a din of muted clunks and thumps, following the echoes of their ruckus down the tunnel with nervous eyes. Pay attention!
Sooner we get this done, sooner we can go.
Your voice is a dry whisper, your nerves tingle with energy. You feel the same apprehension that the others do, but unlike them, you relish it. Still, you look over your shoulder, just in case.
We're hurrying, Captain Gregor. Honest.
You turn back, the others have redoubled their efforts, and you feel a pleasurable twist in your gut as they fill the cart. Being captain of the guard doesn't pay much, but it does allow you to visit the armory without raising eyebrows. And with Coinmaster Zoltan selling off half of the battery's arsenal, who's going to notice a few more missing pieces? Nice, you've got a buyer lined up. As long as you can move these goods out of the battery before someone squeals.
Ma'am? Excuse me, ma'am? You all right?
Okay, we found somebody we can awaken, and it's... I mean, it seems like some corrupt bastard, but at least not a murderer. Which seems somewhat good, considering the alternatives. Because, you know, maybe not awakening somebody who's going to run around and murder people is something of a good idea, I'd say. Just, you know, as an idea, a concept, maybe. And we're gonna take a look. Maybe we find somebody better. Yeah, maybe just for funs and shits and giggles I'm awaken a murderer, just to see what the game is gonna say about it. I would reload that probably too.
My hearing ain't what it was.
This is a set of memories lies dormant within us all, convulsing in a fitful sleep. One of the dormant soul are sharp, rugged, as which it seizes you violently. Standing in a darkened feast hall, sturdy tables and benches have been stacked against the door in the far end of the room. You know it won't be enough. A few dozen other dwarves from your tunneling crew wait with you, shovels and pickaxes in their shaking hands.
Sinove, please. If we go now, we can get behind the barricade. We won't do any good here.
He's right, and you hear agreement in the quiet murmur of the others. Arms Warden Maroon ordered you to hold your ground here. Get in those racy whispers. You hear the opening voice of mutiny. You have tolerated insubordination from your crew, and you aren't about to start. You have to pickaxe and swing it into the man's skull. It collapses. The others fall silent. The acrid odor of urine rises from his body.
We're gonna go down fighting. Anyone who feels differently can settle it with me right now.
Your voice is hoarse from hours of shouting orders, but no one else moves. You cast your eyes down in the flickering torchlight. Nothing thuds against the floor. The others raise their weapons, picks, shovels, and a few swords. Don't dare flinch. Your own pulse pounds at your temples. It's powerful, but dangerous too. Fury is anchored to old and threatening memories. That sounds like somebody who's going to be a pain in the ass once awakened. I'd like a coward, if at all possible. Somebody who's not going to do much damage. That would be most appreciative. If can't be arranged. Oh, excuse me. I do need some more coffee. Actually, where's my... There's my coffee. Which one is the... Give me a second. Oh, this one is the pure blend. Tasty. Very important difference between, you know, my pure and my mixed blends. If you had told me some 5 years ago that at some point I would be sitting here like and going like, yes, this coffee great, this coffee not so great, and this coffee very special blended, I'd probably have to be like, well, it's just coffee, I'm just gonna drink it, aren't I? Nope, I've changed. How quite impressive how much I changed actually when I think about it. Jesus Christ. So many things I in the past was be like, the past self would probably be very surprised by when I think about it. Interesting. It does kind of help, you know, to sometimes just lay back and do some reflection of the past and be like, wow, I've come a long way.
A fine thing you reached us when you did. It would have burned the fishery next, mark my words. And the last thing this lot needs is another excuse to knock off early. Anyway, excuse the mess. If there's something you need, just watch your step if you have a mind to look around. The floors are slick and none too pleasant to fall on.
I'd imagine.
Been running it 4 decades now. I reckon I can tell you what you want to know. It may stink of fish guts, but there's no place more critical to stalwart survival. Herds come and go, so there's seasons when our catch sustains the village. But try telling these folk as much. We go home each day covered to the elbows in fish oil and entrails, reeking of our work.
Charming, indeed.
Shrinking, but it would disappear if we lost the fishers. I drive them hard, but I can't afford to do otherwise. Just about everything. I track the day's catches and see that our nets and hooks are in working order.
Green is to thank for the many fine aromas of Stalwart. Without him, would no one find their way back here?
My family's been in charge of the fishery since the early days of Stalwart. I know the best spots to find frost dive or an iron-toothed pike, and I make sure we don't overfish the speckleback.
Yeah, considering the fact that the fish is most definitively your most important food source, I would say yes, not overfishing. That seems like a fucking good idea.
Arda was a saint. Lived to look after the village, she did. Fell through a week's... You'll pardon me, but it's not something I much care to dwell on. Need anything else?
Read your soul. Wrapped in your cold embrace of a snowstorm. Each step labors to your numb feet. You keep your head down against the wind, and your back is bent under a heavy burden. Ahead of you is a frozen lake, and the hole you made in it. Your feet crunch over the ice. You wait, and secretly hope for the telltale crack beneath you. The village is in the dark behind you. You would sink and none would know. Instead would free you of the heavy, churning feeling in your gut. You reach the hole, and the ice is still steady under you. You have the burden off your shoulders, cradling her in your arms. She is wrapped in nets, lighted with stones. Wish one of the priests of Undra were here with solemn words and the assurance of ceremony. Instead, you slip a bracelet off her wrist. Undra will have her body, and you will carry this remainder. You slide the bundle into the water and watch it sink. It dwindles to nothing more than a dark stain beneath the ice. You feel a scratching in your throat. Hear the wind moaning in your ear.
I'm sorry.
Fucking great, of course you murdered your sister. Why am I not even surprised? Plus 10 ability area of effect. Am I to understand that that means that the area of effect of an ability gets plus 10% in size? Because if yes, then it's fucking steal, isn't it? I guess I can buy it. I mean, it's not like I'm short of money or anything. I'm gonna do some experimentation with that on my own, because, you know, I don't really want to waste everyone's time going like, seems to work, doesn't seem to work. Seems like a bit of a wasteful way of spending our hard-earned free time, and hard-earned it is. Hey, you have something to say?
I didn't think there was anything more than lice and hoarfrost to these folk, but you had a look back there. What do you find when you're rooting around like that?
Mostly things I'd rather not see.
And I'll bet you could do the same to anyone in this village. Easy as looking at him.
You seem rather interested in these villages all of a sudden. Why?
Mayhap I'm looking for someone. Woodcutter by the name of Harmka.
Doesn't have anything to do with Cold Morn, does it?
It sure does.
Well, surprising, isn't it?
He was one of them. The mob that destroyed Cold Morn.
Mm-hmm.
I tracked him to Stalwart years ago, but got caught before I could finish my business.
Looks like there's more to it. This one's personal
This
for you.
man, Harmka. I saw him outside my house the night it burned, staring into the flames the way I seen you stare into souls. I knew it were a fool's errand trying to hunt down every man and woman that carried a torch into Cold Morn. But if I knew I got the one responsible for my kin and my hearth, I might could rest easy.
How can you be so sure about
I took a
something?
good long look that night. Ours was a little place with a yellow door right on the edge of town. Besides, I asked around when I first got to Stalwart. Townsfolk said that all the woodcutters in town took part in the purge. Point of pride for them.
What does this have to do with me?
I told you he was part of the mob. But when we find him, I want to know if he's the one responsible for my home. My parents and my brothers. I never thought I'd have the chance to know for sure. But you could look...
Anyhow, it might be getting your hopes up. Feel about a solid hunch instead. I'll do what I can.
Mighty fine indeed. Don't know where he dallies these days, but someone in Stalwart could tell us. People from little villages.
Well, since you're not part of my crew, which makes you my companion.
Isn't that a tad expensive for a mercenary's wages?
It is if you pay in silver. I paid in steel.
That's the most senseless act of...
I traded a very nice dagger for it. What kind of bloodthirsty lunatic do you think I am?
One with exquisite taste.
Saved yourself there, my friend. Yeah, but yeah, as I said, you're not part of my crew, and if you're part of my crew, you're gonna get your
some luck. And
your
do
wish.
take care with that device. It has a few rather delicate components.
You did find this.
So it works? What a day! But why these gems? I didn't think the device would... I have to study this further. But all the same, it worked! At last! A breakthrough! With that Audra to work from, I can refine the enchantments. We'll be digging up iron, gold, Audra, all of it.
Oh, here you are.
This is going to change everything. Oh, and I won't leave you empty-handed, of course.
Oh, nice.
Here, I had this... I won't forget all you've done. This is going to be fantastic. Just wait till they hear about this back home.
Well, I mean, you know, that was the contract. I do the job, you get the proof, and everybody's happy. And I'm not gonna break my word for any bloody good reason. You would have to actually present me with a very good reason to do so. Otherwise, I don't tend to do so. Just not my habit. I hate people who don't actually work the contracts. It's kinda, you know, on one hand it's a point of pride, but it's also kinda very, very important in a business sense. Because, you know, all of the nonsense that people about all
I'd give
the...
you a taste of that fire you're pining for if we wasn't in such pleasant company.
The fires where I come from reduce metal to shapeless liquid. It's where your kind belongs, along with all the other abominations of animancy.
What a pleasant guy there. But yeah, even nowadays, even after all of this nonsense, we have made, legally speaking, a lot of stuff just to make sure that people can't just wiggle their way out of agreements. Even then, still, your word can get you a very long, long way if you take good care of it. Very important point, often underestimated. I can only actually stress that point very much. You're smart, you keep to your word, might actually build up nice connections over time. Not a process that goes, you know, immediately, but that does help. Do not underestimate the effect that has. Hunter. Oh.
Oh, you see that?
A rat's nest. Now then, a woodcutter. Where would I even find a fucking woodcutter? I don't think I found one yet. But can I say he would be here? And you are all hunters. Let me read your soul. Reach out with your senses. You see your breath. As if above the ground, wedged into the juncture of two branches, the one that is bright upon the snow. In the distance, your quarry steps out onto the ice, onto an illuminated stage.
Welcome.
You're just a soul of a hunter, apparently. And no other soul. No dwarven soul, at least. And not a murderous soul, I suppose. I mean, we have been through all of the village, basically, at this point, and we haven't really found anything like what we are looking for.
Hey there. Let me know if you need anything. Armka. Saw him head out some time ago. You can usually...
Well?
Don't worry, we're not looking to...
Is there anything else? Take care.
I like that statement. Don't worry, we're not looking, you know, to murder him or something. Surely not. Surely. Sure, the devil, as the name implies, is not going to reap his soul, damn for all eternity, as her namesake would imply. Of course not. She's gonna be a nice, dandy person. I will now reawaken the more peaceful person that this kinda screw you over, little dwarf, and well, I'm kinda sorry for that. I mean, you are not an elf, so I don't deserve that sort of state, but alas.
Hafric's got me straightening the rooms, but I'll help you if I can.
Awaken, Gregor, and remember yourself from the armory.
Ooh, I don't... Thief? I'm the captain of the guard. Best be careful where you sling an accusation like that.
Relax, Gregor. I was hoping we could
We're
work
of
together.
one mind, then. However, I like to see offers on the table before I deal. What would you give me?
Awaken you. Seems like you owe me now.
I see. You have me at a loss. And yet, this is not a loss entirely.
You need to reach Durgan's battery. The Cantek, please.
Hammers of Durgan, ring loud. May the anvil's deep music resound. Walls of the battery safeguard our works from marauder and wilder alike. Abidun's faithful travail by the forge, and the fires that brighten the ore. If anyone asks, you didn't hear it from me. Got that? Now. Beg your pardon for going on so. I got carried away, and what was that I said? About hammers and fires and... Wait, please, you've got to tell me what happened. I feel like I'm not...
Oh shit. Kinda hoped I could run away from that. You awakened, you shady soul of God Captain for Durgan's battery.
You must be joking. How could that happen?
Well, shit. I can't awaken you. I need information about the battery.
I can't be awakened. That means... Andres Tides, I'm stuck with him. It's not all bad, Owena. Way I see it, you and me can make some deals. To our mutual benefit. Deals? What do you want from me? For you, not from you. I'm thinking it's time we got a raise. I don't know about that. Hafric's a bit of a miser, he is. Don't you worry about Hafric. I've got something else in mind.
Shit. Well, once a bloody thief and misuser of a position, I guess that's not gonna change much now, is it? Well, what can I say? What can I say indeed? Not much. Right, I kinda need to wait until it's night, don't I? Because I actually need to go into the fishery and steal that stuff. Then we could go and visit a certain woodcutter's camp, I suppose, and get to the bloody business. Then I guess we could try our hand at the new bounties. Once, mind you, because if those prove to be as annoying as a certain dragon, then I will do that on a very much later date with more levels. I mean, this is actually the whole point of an adventure, that there's a level progression, isn't it? And you can always come back later if it's not something that needs to be done for the main quest. And try your luck with more equipment, more skills, more generally speaking stats. Very important. Very good solution, I'd say. Now then, it is night, and I shall now steal your drugs. Oh boy, I've fallen low, haven't I? Not the most heroic thing I've ever done. Then again, I can justify this now because he is actually a murderer. He murdered his bloody sister. And I've seen it in his soul. And I'm not going to be very happy about... yeah, I mean, usually I'm not very happy about doing some dirty work for no good reason, but in this case... hard to feel sorry for the guy, honestly. Now then, nothing up here. Oh, maybe. Find a bracelet. A thick aura of effluence links to it. Fresh with memory. You're straight into the fishery. The floors are swept clean, but the water is still splotched with snow melt and fish guts. The man hunkers in the corner, his head nodding forward as if in sleep. He looks up drowsily as you approach. It's Grinder. His face is useful but sallow. His earrings and stringy locks. I feel a pang of anger and pity at your brother's debauchery.
Arda.
It's past midnight.
Fingers clenched round coarse, thick fabric, your father's best wool cloak, tucked under your arm.
Go! To raid Ceres, or Defiance Bay, or fucking Air Glonfoth, I don't care!
Hurl it at the Ingrid, huddled on the floor. He wipes his nose with the lining. A sudden rush of fury leaves your limbs weak and raw.
I'll tell them. Mayor Sina healed. The neighbors, everyone.
He first towards her teeth.
But what?
He murmurs, churning his words from a morass of snot and saliva.
The stealing! You think I haven't noticed the money missing from the fishery
Oh,
coffers?
ho, ho, ho.
Or heard Tana talk about losing a golden duke?
You whisper, ready even now that someone will overhear you.
You can't be found when there's work to do, but every time those merchant wagons roll into town, you've got coin enough for a few bags of ripple sponge.
No, it's not.
Rubs his red-rimmed eyes. Young grow warm and blurry.
Stalwart tolerates your sponge habit, but they won't abide your thieving.
You touch your bracelet, a gift from mother, plucking at the beads.
You won't.
He rises, steadier on his feet than you would have thought.
I will.
Wouldn't have shamed mother and father while they was living. Wanted to keep up. Your anger swallows the last of your pity. You angered him for putting you in this position, for doubting your resolve, for failing to see you're close enough to smell his stale, sour breath when he pushes you. You fall, watching his widening eyes and the ceiling spinning into your vision. Isn't it just like him, crying with his cool tantrums, never thinking of anybody but himself. Now you're going to be nursing a headache for a week, just goes to show you can't help some people. Remember him too, your baby brother, running through the snow, slipping, falling on ice, and you're slipping, falling, and there's a table behind you, but it shouldn't... yeah. And you died. Well, shit, we're standing the wrong way around. And in walks Grinder, staring at you, with the bracelet, in surprise and outrage.
You take shelter in our village and then ransack it like a common thief? You'd better explain yourself.
Well, no, you're the one with explaining to do.
What's that supposed to mean?
Ada didn't fall through the ice. You killed her right in this room. God, next to him stares at bracelet, recognition turning to horror.
Worth coming back for this alone.
You have fun, eh?
It was an accident. I was a failure and a wretch then. But I never would have killed anyone. Least of all my own kin. I gave her body to the lake. But I kept her bracelet. To remember the cost of my own weakness. I ain't asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve any. You've seen the shape this place is in. Have mercy on Stalwart, if not on me. Let me do the work Arda would have done. That's my debt to Stalwart, and the only fitting way to honor my sister.
Look at yourself. Keeping the secret has taken a toll on you. I really want to feel this way.
I kept thinking I could get by this way. But I guess you're right.
In the end, you can do all the penance you want. Your self-imposed penance. But that is not how the system is supposed to work. You're supposed to accept the punishment. Even though said punishment is not always going to be fair. That much should be obvious, sadly enough, but it's how it is. Now then, quest log. Return to Gavino. Sure, we can do this. And then we get rusted wood. And we need to go to the rusted wood anyway because of the... Oops. Because of that woodcutter guy. Okay, I can do this. We're fully healed. We have some nice bonies from resting, so... hoping they will last. Now then, 2 jobs to do here, eh? 2 jobs. One is gonna be the combat encounter, the other is gonna be probably another combat encounter, all things considered. And since we already were on this map, I wonder... It's probably gonna be at the Woodcut Dusk Grove, wouldn't it be? Oh look, this looks horrible, doesn't it?
Yes.
Hey.
Sim, I remember that weak chin and those knobbly knees. Let's get in now.
How goes?
The Elverman emerges into the clearing and freezes, staring at the Devil of Karok. On earth, he's tall and rangy, wears a beaten face, beneath stringy, greasy hair. Gives him turn, glaring and gaping at the bronze golem.
Shadow, what's that wicked thing doing here?
Why are you nervous?
It's a killer! Look, we'd be much obliged if you'd leave us be. Just a woodcutter.
Let me just read yours all on. You see memories. Snow-shrouded forest partitioned by fallen pines and fairs. Days measured by a steady swing of your axe. There are other moments too, recollections that flare up like hearts welcoming fire. They are children, spry and lanky like you, but still full of the rowdy energy of youth. Together you scatter winterbloom petals on a grave. Reach deeper. Years roll back, a torch in your left hand, as you're facing shoulder and heat. All around you are other men and women holding other torches. The mountain air is acrid, with the stench of smoke and sweat. Rage billows of the others. Been a fever in your blood for days now, exhausting you and invigorating you in equal measure. You're at the edge of that town, Coldmourn. Hours yet before dawn, but the commotion has started to awaken the village. Candlelight ignites behind frost-crusted windows, and haunted faces peer out at you through the glass. You begin to doubt yourself. Just then, a door slams. Villager comes racing through the streets, kicking up snow. His dark white face and pale hair, he looks almost like a ghost. The line of torchbearers ripples as he gets closer. He picks up speed, but nobody moves towards him. You imagine him breaking through the row, shattering your ranks like the bad dream that brought you all here. Imagine waking up in a bed. The heat from your torch, nothing more than the warmth of your wife sleeping next to you. Instead, the villager reaches the row of torchbearers a stone's throw away from you. The woman advances from the line and buries a dagger in his neck. The rest of your fellows shout. Rage, memory, and bloodthirsty triumph boil up in you. You all came with a purpose. You came to bring justice to the traitors of Coldmourn. The next 3 hours are painted in colors more vivid than life. You put your torch to anything that stands, and your sword to anyone who runs. As if Magrin himself whispers in your ear and guides your hand. Exhaustion has almost cooled your rage when you spy hours at the edge of town. One of the only buildings that hasn't already burned. It's flanked by knotty spruce trees. The door is painted yellow. Yellow, the bloom of sunrise. The hue of your sun's hair. Color, cowardice. Just then, someone barrels into you from behind. It's a man. You only remember from the journey to Coldmourn, though you can't recall his name. He snarls at you, met with indiscriminate rage. It occurs to you that he's mistaken you for one of the villagers. Smash the window and hurl your torch inside. The other man is turned away. You think you hear a child shrike within the house. It's impossible to tell above the roar of the riot. He burned down your house.
What did you say?
What did it feel like? The torch in your hand, the blade you carried. What did they feel like? Well, I'm not surprised that this is how this is gonna go.
Hey.
Did anybody really expect this to go better? Honestly, I was not. Well, that takes care of that, I suppose. Not in a nice way.
Almost 15 years I've been looking for him. All that fretting and wondering. And the deed's over in less time than it takes to tell.
Yes, well, that is how it is with revenge. One step in the right position can make it a very short action. Unsatisfying, very much so. So how do you feel now?
I killed a lot of folk in my time. Felt their blood slick in my hands, smelled their flesh as it burned. And I always used to imagine what it would be like to have Harmka under my knife, feeling his breath come hot and fast, smelling the fear ooze out of him. Couldn't feel a thing. His fading pulse weren't no more than a patter of rain to me.
You
His
mean?
body, it weren't made for feeling. Gouging my fingers into Harmka's wasting flesh, his screams just buzzing in my skull. All it did was remind me that
Of
this
what?
is a madman's fever dream. Like a prison, but no, because in a prison, you lay your head down and you feel the straw soft beneath you. Your flesh prickling in the cold, black bread crumbling on your tongue.
Your body has unique strengths and advantages too, you know?
I'd trade 'em all if I could feel the snow cold around my ankles. I still dream I'm folk. I wake up some mornings wondering why I can't feel the floor beneath me, thinking I must have fallen and gone crippled. But then I lift my head, see a bronze corpse stretching out in front of me. I dreamed too of what Galvino did that night. Those moments. I'd endure another cold morn if it'd spare me this fate.
What happened
It was
exactly?
after I got caught in Stalwart. They'd locked me in a little house by the inn, the old mayor and his cronies. When a crowd of them came for me in the dark of night, I was only surprised it had taken them so long. Only they didn't march me to no gallows. No. They snuck me to another house on the edge of town, real sneaky-like. That's where I met Galvino.
What was he doing
He
there?
was fiddling with some machinery in his workshop. Had his sleeves rolled up even though it was cold enough to see your breath. Never actually looked at me until he started fitting some copper helmet over my head. By that time, the mayor's goons had me trussed up good and tight. Galvino was having himself a grand time barking orders at that lot.
Well, I can see where this is
So
going.
while Galvino's fastening that helmet over my head and them copper bands around my arms, I'm starting to look at his contraption. And that's when I see it. It's this metal suit strapped into the machine just like me. A cold, dead-eyed thing, all done up with fancy carvings and such.
This was the suit you never know, you mean?
The one. I start asking Galvino and the rest of them what's going on, but they're too busy to answer.
Well, what was I about to say?
Then suddenly, they're waiting, staring at me with that fixed, horrified look. Galvino tells the woman nearest the machine to flip the handle, and then just pain.
Yikes, that
Being
does not
torn
sound
apart
nice, I will
every
admit.
which way, feeling my soul peeled from my body.
Well,
By
yeah,
the time I came
precisely.
to, I couldn't feel a thing.
I hear the old man cackling and chattering when I saw him looming over me, down at me with hungry eyes. I tried to scream, tried to swing at
I
him,
think that was when I knew.
and that's how you ended up here.
Sure enough, and how Galvino ended up in that little shack. The rest of Stalwart didn't take kindly to having a killer in their midst, nor to seeing their mayor and the Army Valians strike a secret deal. They drove Galvino out, destroyed a fortune in machinery, and wrote a letter to the Academy in Salona, ruining what was left of his name. Still, he's lucky he didn't get a pelting.
Good point,
The
actually.
old mayor fled too, and Stalwart's been as snug and cheery as ever.
Now that we've the Farmke, though, why have you stuck
You're
around?
better company than Galvino.
Good point.
Been a while since I were out in the world. Guess I'm keen on seeing more of it. Even if I'm stuck with a bleeding heart.
Your heart cannot bleed because you don't have a heart.
Anyways, I've been wondering about that fortress.
You're acting unusually coy.
Near everyone thinks it'll have just the thing they need. Those villagers wanted to fix up their brook downtown.
Yeah, they want the money.
Galvino always thought it carried some great secret of Animanson. And all them adventurers came looking for fancy gear.
Yeah, it's all about the money at the end of the day, you know. So what were you hoping to
I
find?
don't know. Something to help me feel. Or forget. Effigy's eyes, maybe just something new. I just figured, with those dwarves being expert smiths and all, maybe they had something to unmake me. Put me back into my body.
Well, perhaps we'll find
You really
something
think
yet.
so, huh? Well, ain't like you to blast hot air.
Well, no, I can't prove my point. I usually do find solutions to problems. That's kind of what I do. Get used to it at this point.
Yes?
And so, as long as there is a solution somewhere out there, we shall find it, we shall apply it, and we shall make you a very happy little companion. Because you are my companion, and I will make you happy if you want to or not. You be very much assured of that. Now, next on my nice little list of things I need to do is finding that thing. What even are we looking for in this nice little... Not you. You. Neither of the old done-yet hunting lodges wanted dead. They should be here. So, a group of hunters. And I'm assuming they do hunt particular sort of sport sometimes. Old done-yet beguiler. Yeah, that seems like the group we're looking for. Was easy enough to find. Now comes the hard part, though.
Hey.
Fighting without getting murdered.
I'm
Get
here.
it. Oh, shit, that was not how I wanted to do this. Shit.
Yes.
Could you people not run to each other's way like this? That would be much appreciated. Good, at least now we are somewhat embroiled in close quarters combat. Seems like more of a word, I assume. Now then, we have tentacles. You know, tentacles are a very useful little thing to have around. Mostly because they do some horrible things. That was precisely the sort of thing I wanted to happen. Did you use your ice fist on my tentacle? Just gonna call that spell ice fist now. Oh. No other reason than the fact that I can. Quite definitively. Nice. Conjura, you're going to stop conjuring shit now. And the Necromancer. Last one. Last one. Nice. Honestly, this group wasn't nearly as bad as it was made out to be. Annoying? Yes. Nearly as bad as it could have been. Kinda makes me want to try my hand at the other one. Yeah, sure, let's talk to Galvino on the way, and on the way back we're gonna go to the Longwatch Falls and see what we can do with this nonsense. Oh shit, I kinda wanted to read that. Well, shit. Since the end of Saints War, Dry Woodens have gathered at Even Devil Bridge to commemorate the sacrifice of the dozen who gave their lives to defeat Sankt Waidwen. It's become customary for priests of Magran leading the processional to sing a dirge to end the ceremony. Priest attempted to sing the dirge, his tongue swelled in his throat and he died painfully before the assembled crowd. Another priest attempted to sing the dirge a month later, he suffered the same fate. Some believe the gods are to blame for the priest's death, others suspect vengeful red serents. Poison, potentially. You seem to be... Druid should probably be able to do something about that. Or find out something. And if not, he can tell them funny stories about how halflings eat meat. All the meat.
Yes?
Now then, back to Galvino, being like, hey, yeah, we kind of taken care of that guy you were so bothered with. Then we're gonna go down, then we're gonna go back, then we're gonna go rest, and then we're gonna be happy. Happy people. We have done something good. We have progressed further in this nice little story. Once again, I'm actually getting higher offers of money every bloody time I'm looking. You kind of find that enjoyable. And then we're gonna go the long way over again and be like, well, Galvino, we're back. I didn't wanna. This was a hunting party. The next are dragon worshippers. I do wonder if they have any dragon powers then. But that could be a quite annoying fight. I will admit, I do like this kind of, you know, golem devil. Which is a bit too lighthearted when it comes to the whole I'm a murderer and I'm kind of enjoying myself here. I don't really enjoy that overly much, but generally speaking, from a character standpoint, that rook is actually not bad. It reminds me, I always wanted to play a bit more with rook classes in games, but I usually can't be asked to do it. Give me either warrior or a mage, or a combination of those two. Bloody every day. Works a lot better if you ask me. Because the rooks either work too well, in which case they are basically unstoppable and they don't need anyone. Like, for example, Baldur's Gate, when you can lay traps, and then just make your enemies run into said traps. That's a very overpowered tool, to put it mildly. Believe you me, I've seen what people can do with that. That's horrible. You know, it works not well enough. That too is a problem. Because then you're just a fighter with less armor, which is not a nice and good scenario you want to find yourself in. Believe me, I've seen that happening. It's not good.
The devil has not scorched you yet, eh? Perfetto.
I have news.
Yes? Does the sniveling cur hide in his home? Or has he been exiled to a place even more frigid and foul?
I learned that he murdered his sister.
Tiverus! The man is even more of a wretch than I thought. What of him now? Surely the villagers string him up with his own fishing line.
He's leaving town with the tail stuck between his legs.
Perfecto! Oh, I only wish I could have seen it. I will open a good wine tonight. As for you, take this.
I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it all the time. And not here. Here. You lost 400. You collected and I earned 900. If I read this right. Yeah, even after I lost 500, 600 about, I still earn 1,000. Just for all the cool stuff, I guess, I built over the years. Okay, is there anything more I can... Oh yeah, we kinda had to rebuild our forum, didn't we? Because... Oh, I already did that. Was destroyed in one of those attacks. Yeah, actually kind of reminds me. Although this game actually has an enchant system where you can enchant your equipment, I haven't made use of this yet, and I'm still getting through the game somewhat reasonably well. I do like that. It's basically offering me the option of making use of that, but that's not a necessity. Ugh. Language. And that is something I can work with. I hate it when I'm forced to play with a system like this. Not much of a fan of that. I like having options. I not like having to force myself to do something that goes clearly outside of what is the norm. You know what? Why don't you come down here? Let us then go back to the Long Watch Falls, because that is one area I so very much like to go back, considering that there is still a fucking dragon around. Being a pain in my ass. But that's actually how it is supposed to be. Honestly, if at the end of the day, one of the highest, mightiest creatures in all of fantasy land that has ever existed and should be something you cannot just defeat, alright, is and has always been the dragon. They were a pain in the ass in Baldur's Gate, I can tell you that much. And most of those you met you could fight. And usually, that was not how the game intended it to do. Because they really were annoyingly hard to deal with. Which is how it should be. If you reduce dragons to basically little more than basically a step above a armored group, then it's kind of like meh. It's not how it's supposed to be. Now I need to find a group of enemies. Well, a group of dragon worshippers, even worse. Also, that dude is that dude just respawning all the time? Because I could swear I picked this up the last time I was here. And it's always coming back for some bloody reason. Now, I wonder where those nice little dragon worshippers could be. And I wonder even more about the simple fact just what sort of annoying abilities they will have. And honestly, it might be a bit of an untrue statement in a more general sense, but honestly, as soon as I kicked the bong, things just seem to work better in this group. I don't know, it might be just my very skewed perspective on the matter, because I was not much a fan of the monk class in general, and it has not really changed. But maybe, just maybe, it's better like this. Just maybe, you know? I do kinda like the Rook ability to get invisible in combat. That's fucking useful. Now kinda wanna give her the smoke bombs too. Again, as you can pretty much tell from the way I'm leveling up characters, if I have a choice, then having lots of passive effects is usually more my style. I like to reduce myself to just 1 or 2 active abilities that I make heavily use of. I like to have everything else on a more passive scale. Maybe just a preference thing, but you know, each their own. In this case, this is my own preferred thing. is not always the most Division style though. I'll admit to that much. Believe you me. Some games you can go away, can get through with that better, a lot better, and in some cases it's a not so good idea. As in, oh boy, I should have thought better. Look what the cat found. This kinda makes me want to go up here and create a bit of a, well, if I can. A bit of a nasty situation.
Hey.
Right here.
Tell me.
How may I help?
Because this should actually make sure that I'm not getting attacked. Yeah, that is a good way to start. Maybe not the best way, a good way to start. Because that is seriously putting them into a very nasty situation. Hey Adrian, you sound like a dragon. In disguise, basically. Did I just make one of them a friend? I did, didn't I? That is such a nasty move. Now, the only problem I can see here is that probably there's not much space for my usual, most preferred tactic of using tentacles. Alas. Thrones of Faithful. Cleansing Flame. Throw Ball of Holy Fire at him. True Flame and Dragon. Whatever that is supposed to mean, I sure hope it means something good. Yes, apparently attacking that one is a pain in the ass, because whenever I attack that one, I actually get some nasty effects on me. Great start, I'd say. Why don't you drop that one?
I'm here.
Oh, because you have become an enemy now. Great. It's always great when that happens, doesn't it? Yeah, at least he found, well, himself again, I suppose. Saying it. That's not gonna work. Shiny beacon. Take a shiny beacon on your face. Was? Well. Fun, I suppose. Fun. Engaging. Pretty sure at this point we have murdered almost all of them. Yeah, choke points. Choke points are a nice little thing, aren't they? Now we only need to get and deal with that druid, who has proven to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Sadly for him though, not enough of a pain in the ass to actually survive. Oh, but yeah. That fucking cleansing ball of fucking holiness. Yeah, that is precisely what's going to happen. Nice, and everybody levels up for that. Apart from the devil, who... a bit, of course. The difference. The violent deaths of two Marguerite Price at Evander Bridge generated grief and outrage at the Godhammer Citadel. It did not take long for Hydras that killed at Radical Red Sirens were responsible. Two wizards had placed the curses that killed the priests, but they were backed by dozens of Red Siren veterans from the Saintsborn. As the wizards had no interest in negotiating with Hyvarus or the Marguerite Knights, a battle erupted, much of it running over the same fields that saw combat during the war. 8 wizards were killed and the remaining Red Sirens were routed. The priests that had died in the initial attack were buried near the bridge, and the ceremonial gloves of the senior priest were given to heroes and thanks. Spell defense, holy meditation, overseeing. Interesting, interesting. Well, with all of this nonsense out of the way, let us go back to Stalwart and collect our rightfully earned money. I mean, bounty hunting at least is a somewhat reasonable work, I suppose. So why do I get... It's actually funny when you think about it. I'm not getting many matches as usually, but as soon as I'm doing something, suddenly, oh, and everybody is like here. I need to talk to you right now, in the evening. Actually, practically speaking, we're not even at the evening anymore. It's fucking nighttime, isn't it? What the hell? No rest for the wicked. Enduring flames. The Paladin's flames of devotion do burning damage over time. 50% damage inflicted over time. Yeah, I kinda don't like that though. Because it sounds like basically losing 50% of my immediate damage. Move the line. Enemy engaged. More reflex, more fortitude, more will. Then there are all of those defenses, which are also nice. Then we have offensive stuff like Bloody Slaughter. But I guess starting with stuff like this and working my way through that is probably more than okay already.
Hey.
Basically the same we do with you, isn't it? More knockdowns. Kinda like the idea though. Defensive. You have... I mean, you could use more deflection. Yeah, let's start actually with deflection. That seems like something... Oh no, actually you would have more than enough of that for the moment. Let's actually start with reflex, because that should be something a fighter is somewhat naturally weak at. Let's work off that. Mechanics. Actually, let's give you some stuff. Two weapon style. Plus 20% do wild attack speed. Shields are useful considering that is your standard setup. 7, 8. Actually, I had no 9th level spells. That's kind of annoying. Arcane Reflection. Attacking hostile targeted spells at the 5th level, yeah. Power, yeah, again I know those ones already. Actually, is this only from enemies it touches? I'm going to lean out of a window here and assume that that actually means that it's only going to murder enemies, because this spell said so. I'm going to regret it, aren't I? I'm so going to regret that decision. Wench. Okay, so that is what Wench is. And I guess that would be the only one we would need. Oh, the second double spell would also be very much appreciated. Honestly, generally speaking, more spells would be much appreciated. More spells. Thank you very much. I do love more spells.
Yes?
You could almost assume that My Little Miracle and spell workers are somewhat more useful when they can use more spells. Especially since we're now up to level 3 spells. That's actually not bad. All things considered. I broke your Phaedron's head. And you're done yet. Hunting is also done and hunted. Oh look, that actually gave her a level up. Nothing here this time. Interesting, interesting. You might actually want to get some deflection going on. On a remote island in the Deadfire Archipelago, the famed apothecary Tamavatua creates potions and unguents that are renowned from Nasitek to the southern edges of the Eastern Reach. He boasts that the secret to success is his location within the archipelago, from which he has access to not only a huge array of native creatures and plants, but also to merchants traveling from all the settled parts of the world. Lately, Tama's home and laboratory have come under attack by pirates, forcing him to flee from island to island almost every day. Apothecary's clients and Tama's many children have pled with the pirates to stop their pursuit. With no sympathy from the pirates and no help from the mainland rulers of Verbet, they've turned to mercenaries in the Eastern Reach for help. Pirates, you say. Send a paladin. Always good to send a paladin. Now, quest log. What does quest log say? I have nothing to do here with that nonsense. I'm not gonna try my hand at the Siege of Crackhold. I'm gonna wait for that because that sounds like such a pain in the ass. I have not yet found any clue to the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. That dragon is just too much of a pain in the ass to deal with. We can now open Durgan's battery, so we shall do that. That's gonna be interesting. For the moment, I'm gonna take a nice little rest. get myself all set up and relaxed for when we storm the battery and go like, well, this is mine now. I now have a monopole on a nice little product called Durgensteel.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you? Top quality bear
Golden whale, because I'm just that much. Just such a golden whale, aren't I? The kitty's like, wow, time for food. Technically speaking, I fed you before I started this, so no. But you might get a nice little snack. And just a snack. Yeah, Solma again. You already were part. Already met you. Now then. Shall now once again check my inventory to see if there's something I wanna get done. We already have the Grey Sleeper as a two-handed soulbone sword. It's well made but modest in design. Finds with Barbarian Fighter Paladin. Well, yeah. Great sword. I mean, kinda yes. That S-Dog is nice, but a great sword would probably also be nice. But since it's soulbind, I kinda wanna think about that a bit more before I actually do it. I still have my exceptional plate armor, and I have this white crest armor, which is kinda cool, but move speed -1 is kinda... As long as I don't have an active item that gives me +1 move speed and I'm aware that I can nullify this, I kinda don't like it, honestly. Seems like such a pain in the ass to have somebody around who then moves slower than everybody else. Sounds like a pain, doesn't it? Invisibility of deflection, major spellbound, minor arcane reflection. Runs invisible when hit by a critical hit, once per encounter. Runs minor arcane reflection, 1 per rest. And what do I have of might? Might sounds somewhat more useful for me. Fortitude of reflex or will. Basically the same I'm already wearing. And this is of deflection. I'm not gonna change that. I have an S-load of fortitude, and and apart from will, I'm really well protected. It's an amazing amount I have there. Now for a fortitude of will of reflex, that's not the best one you can have. This is the best one you can have. You should have it. Why you might want to? Because you, like me, are a frontliner. You also have the exception plate. Yes, we're both wearing the same thing. And it's not some dumb couple thing, it's actually just a fucking good armor. What can I say? Nothing beats a fucking good armor. Unique flail one-handed. It lowers my accuracy. Yeah, I'm somewhat happy actually with this. Of deflection. Freedom pierce proof. See damage reduction to self defense against hobbits paralyzed. Gatring is not so useful. But honestly, I don't have anything to offer you for that though. As for you, you already have two rather nice unique weapons. Any reason why we have +1 move speed, healing received? It's kinda a good reason to have that around. I think I'm gonna let you have your armor for now. Bonus range damage, yeah, but you're not doing range damage. The core. Properties of perception. I mean, yeah, +2 perception. That's a mighty bonus. Put it mildly. Unconquerable. +2 intellect while endurance above 50%, 25%. Focus gain while endurance above 50%. That's something clearly meant for a cipher, isn't it? It kinda doesn't really get me all. Doesn't really get me going. No, you kinda strike me as the kind of person who would want to be up close and personal when you murder somebody. Problem is, apart from this flail, kinda don't have any exceptional spears, do I? Bit of a pain in the ass, that. I have lots of pikes, though. And I guess I could enchant that thing myself, couldn't I? I can still think about it in the future. It's probably a good idea to start with that. Also, it looks kind of fun. I don't know how you make that. Yeah, you're just using some things. You're basically just pinning that to yourself in some way, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything with that. It's probably going to help you a bit more, honestly. And as for you, you can probably make use of that. Perception. Yeah, no, doesn't seem like there's anything I would like to have around. Yes, sir. Well, we have done all we can. I suppose for the moment. A nice little group preparing itself for the heroes that await us in Durkan's battery. But for the moment, I will have to actually meet you at you. Have a good one and all that, and I shall be back tomorrow, as is the weekend. Next week is gonna be a pain, I can already tell as much because of
How may I help?
what's to come there, but alas, I can't change that. I'm just going to take it as is, as they say. Wait. But first comes the weekend, and first we're gonna play some. That's a very good idea, I'd say. A very good idea. Such, make a nice little save, go like let's do it again, just in case. And well, tomorrow's probably just gonna be the evening, because I still have, well, actually something very special, because I don't have a half day and don't have a full day, but I have something in between. Shut up, TT! It's not your fucking time! Bloody annoying sometimes, that one. Really is. But yeah, I will not make any larger promises apart from, you know, the usual amount of near the evening, which is something I'm looking forward to already, mind you. But apart from that, no promises. I try my best, but I'm not gonna make promises I'm not able to keep. That's something I try to avoid. Let's say that yes. It's not like it's always working, but one is trying. For the moment though, bye bye, eat